Hello and welcome to the Con Couple. I'm Richard,
I'm impressed by how bad drivers are up here.
and your name is.
Caroline,
And
we still don't have personas yet,
we don't. But we do go to a frankly terrifying number of cons every year.
and I always mess up the intro.
Every freaking week.
So this does mark a momentous occasion, though.
It does. Welcome to the first ever episode that's the second time actually doing an episode on a specific con.
You explained it in the worst way possible.
That was awful.
Welcome to the second episode that we've ever done for the same convention.
Yes. This has not happened up until this point because I think the MCFC 2025 episode was like episode 3 or 4.
Yep.
And MCFC is earlier this year.
Yes, which we'll talk about why.
We'll talk about why. Which means it is the first one that we're actually doing a second episode on.
Yep.
So,
yay! So MCFC is Motor City FurCon.
Yes.
Which takes place in, this time, actually Detroit.
Yeah, last
beforehand,
time,
just kind of that part of Michigan that's around Detroit that is all the other cities in Michigan.
Yeah, like
because all of them are like within 100, or like within a 30-minute drive of each other, all centered around Detroit, and are just that they make their name off not being Detroit and therefore not actually being next to all the automotive factories.
Yeah. So last time it was technically more in Ann Arbor than it was in Detroit itself. But it's part enough of the area that still calling themselves Motor City Furry Con.
Yeah.
Fine and legit. So this is our first time doing this, but we've got stuff to talk about this year.
Yes, people were, well, I say people, one person asked us if we were going to do reviews of conventions we had already covered, and the answer is yes, because conventions change year to year, and this one has changed a lot.
This one's changed a fair bit since last year. We have things to talk about.
Yep.
So where do we want to start is the question.
Mm-hmm.
Should we start with the venue?
The venue's going to take a lot of time.
The venue is going to take a lot of time. Is there anything we want to get to before we get there?
We normally start with the venue, don't we?
Normally.
Okay.
Again, it's also like we spent some time explaining what a furry is the first time
go
we
to
did
our
that.
first MCFC episode if you want to know what a furry is, or the basics there.
Yep.
At this point, I don't know if we should really explain it, especially since half the people who listen to this are furries.
Yeah.
So
I think that's fair. So, again, we like doing fur cons just because we really love the people.
We do, and they're like a con that is very much focused on the creativity of the con goers, which we like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to other fandoms where you have like a source of your fandom generally, and you're all spending your time talking about that. Here, it's just people entertaining people and being creative together, and that's pretty awesome.
It is.
It's also a +18 con.
Yes.
Second in a row, interestingly enough.
Yeah, the timing on that I think was just completely random, but and +18 events are always interesting because they're like there's stuff you could do at a +18 event you can't do at a family-friendly event, and I'm not even talking about necessarily anything like. For one thing, I don't feel the need to moderate my language.
Yeah.
At a +18 event, whereas I do normally. And again, I moderate it on this podcast because we like to keep this podcast PG-13 at worst.
You can also be a little bit more flirty, which is nice.
Yeah.
Because like casual flirting, I maintain, is perfectly fine. It's creepy if you're stalking somebody, and it's creepy if they're not consenting. But casual flirting is okay and fun.
Yeah. Stop trying to pimp me out to the furries.
I will 100% pimp you out to the furries.
You think she's joking, ladies and gentlemen, and others. But yeah, so I think we do probably need to start by talking about the venue on this one. Yeah. So last year, this was at the Eagle Crest in Ann Arbor, which is the same place that UConn is held, interestingly enough. This year, it's moved.
Yes.
It is now at the Marriott.
Yes.
What was it? The Marriott at the Renaissance Center, I think, which is right smack in downtown Detroit.
Yes, and I will say we did get some behind-the-scenes information from a variety of different sources, some of which we did have confirmed, I guess, insofar as 2 people told us, but I don't know if they heard the same rumor, so we will repeat some of that stuff here. Just keep in mind that everything we're saying is alleged, and none of it's like a crime or anything. We're just saying alleged because I don't know the information with 100% certain.
Yeah.
If you are somebody who worked with this con who wants to be interviewed to talk about this change, why you made it, what you think of it, stuff like that, we are more than happy. We are trying to work this week on setting up an official interview Discord server. We can just get a bot to record us. So Not just for this conference specifically, but also for like others.
Various other things.
A couple different people have asked to be interviewed at this point, and we want to work more interviews in this year. So we're going to be trying to working on that a little bit this week. So if you are associated with this con, email concouplepodcast@gmail.com, and we're happy to talk to you.
We absolutely are. But people do like driving like idiots on this road. Incidentally, if you can't tell, we do in fact record this podcast in our car. We are using hands-free lapel mics.
In keeping with the laws of Michigan and Ohio.
Yeah. But what am I?
Your train of thought has not been good today.
It's been bad. Again, I don't know if I've been sleeping right for the last week or so. Again, it happens. I've got some work stuff going on. It's nothing bad. It's mostly, in fact, we're in the wonderful world of it could be good if it goes the way I want it to. So I'm now like worried it won't, but ain't life fun. But anyway.
So venue.
So the new hotel, they basically have floors 4 and 5 as the convention space. It's a whacking great tower. I think it goes up to floor 60 something, but it is a circular space. So basically floors 1 through 5 have these big like open cutouts so you can see all the way down.
Yeah, so it's effectively a circle, and if you're imagining it like a wheel with spokes, there are spokes out to the outer rim of the wheel, and the outer rim of the wheel has like rooms on it that can be for panels and stuff like that, but it is a circle.
It's a circle, which does also mean that all the panel rooms are kind of like
weirdly shaped.
Yeah. And then there are 2 bigger rooms that are like protruding out from the circle.
Which on the lower level was main events, gaming, or like video gaming, and the dealer's den.
Yes, and then on the upper level it was the sponsors lounge.
Yes.
We did not go in the sponsors lounge because we don't pay for sponsor badges.
Nope.
Not a knock on the con.
And I will say with Furry cons, generally sponsor level actually tends to be something that gets you perks that aren't just front of the line privileges. Generally gets you free food and drink.
Yep. Which, again, if you could take advantage of that, we might think about it, but you can't, so we don't. But yeah.
And they were sponsored by a soda company this year, which is hilarious.
That's kind of hilarious. Especially since, like, several people were extolling the virtues of this particular soda brand, but I know they weren't doing it because they were sponsored, because they've been doing that for, like, the entire time I've known them.
Yep. I think they just actually drink so much soda, knowing furries, that, like, the soda company, which I think is fairly local, noticed.
I was just like, you guys buy a lot of our soda. Do you want us to sponsor your event? Sweet.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, the venue itself, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan.
So, yeah, we talked a little bit about how to present this on the podcast, because we do know that people from the con listen to this, which we really appreciate, by the way.
We really do.
And this is something for which we recognize the trade-offs here, and I do think the trade-offs in terms of what you gained in terms of space, a more interesting visual location, and a location where no one called in a bomb threat, which,
That's a perk.
Yeah, those are pretty big things, and I think there is, although parking is not free, there is at least more of it.
There is at least there's a lot of parking, it's just most of it's kind of expensive, but again, we'll talk about that in detail when we get to parking.
And you are downtown. So,
yes.
And based on the number of people who are raising their hands when they were asked if it was their first time at certain events, I do think you got a lot of new con attendees this weekend that you didn't have before.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. But at the same time, the trade-offs for me as a disabled person kind of weren't worth it. So
yeah.
And there's a lot of different types of people who go to cons. I might not be the person you're trying to attract. Maybe it is more of like is party fur a term that you guys use? It probably is. A party fur type person.
But yeah, so the specific issues we kind of have with the venue are, one, getting in and out of it was a pain in the neck every day.
Yeah, I know you guys were trying to do more stuff for people who had disabilities this year. You had a department for accessibility, which was really nice and awesome. And we'll talk more about that and how awesome it was. But part of the problem with the venue like this is it's just inherently inaccessible, and no matter what accommodations you have, they're not really stuff that you can solve for. And keep in mind that like a lot of people who have disabilities don't have wheelchair card placards because it doesn't really come up on a daily basis. Like I don't have any type of disability that's going to like qualify me to get uh, to like disabled access bays at like a Walmart, but I don't need to have that, so what? It's fine. But in a place like this where it's downtown, navigating through like city streets and stuff like that actually is difficult for me.
Yeah. You know, and that's even without factoring in the ball gowns
Yeah.
that you like to wear. And again, like we
And-
can't stay on site.
Mhm.
Like most hotel rooms do not work for us. Again, from a disability standpoint,
Yep.
which means, you know, as per usual, we got an Airbnb. It was about a 20-minute drive. That's fine. We don't have a problem with that. But it did mean that getting in and out of the venue each day was a pain in the neck.
Yeah, it was very stressful. It was hard to know where to go. Parking was pretty expensive. We managed to find a cheap lot, randomly, but
and in particular, actually navigating inside that venue.
various doors were locked at various times. It was incredibly confusing.
Yep. The place itself is kind of a weird maze because everything's laid out in goddamn circles.
Mhm.
It's very easy to get turned around, and the signage is bad, verging on non-existent in a few places.
Yeah, there's also, because of how it's set up between floors, the only realistic way, because the con was effectively on 2 floors, the only way to get between those 2 floors are escalators that are very, very narrow,
Yeah.
like too narrow for ball gowns and too narrow for fursuits.
Yep.
Stairs that technically are supposed to be emergency access only. Some people, I think, were using them. We chose not to.
We chose not to because there was a sign on the door to them saying, "Alarm will sound if this door is open."
Which that's almost never true, but like it's still something I didn't want to risk.
Yep. And again, I'm willing to bet those stairways probably were not in great nick.
Yeah. And elevators that give you extraordinarily bad vertigo.
Yeah, like here's the thing. Those lifts were really quick.
Yep.
Which, granted, if you're trying to get to floor 60, that's kind of necessary.
If you're going up 1 floor, because it's the only way you can go up, it basically goes up incredibly quick, then stops and kind of goes back down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very vertigo. Like you were having bad vertigo.
I was having vertigo at a couple of points just from the transition. Like I was actively staggering coming out of the lift once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not like I don't like lifts. That's not. But
Yeah,
that's,
we tend to use stairs whenever possible, which
Yeah.
I know is weird because of my disability, but stairs actually are the easiest form of access for me.
and again, like I don't like lifts just because again I watched too many movies that where like you know there are bombs on lift shaft cables and things when I was a kid. Like I know it's stupid. I don't particularly like them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it is, you know, it's one of those things. And having to rely on them all weekend also did frequently, like, I'll say this, unlike last week at Sangara Project, there were at least a lot of lifts.
There were a lot. We were never waiting for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And people were pretty good about like providing access and stuff like that to lifts. There were no signs at this one for like elevator etiquette of like suiting to fursuiters or people with disabilities.
Yeah,
A sign would have been nice, but I also get that you might not have been able to put a sign there because the hotel was effectively shared space, and there were a lot of other people in this hotel this weekend.
There were, and that is something we are going to have to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we'll save that for
Yeah.
You know, for the time period where it happened when we get to
And I do want to emphasize that I think the majority of the problems of this venue weren't mistakes that the con made, but I do want the con to be aware that like this venue has a lot of trade-offs associated with it, and some of those trade-offs for some people might be a little bit insurmountable to attending the con in the future because of how difficult it is. The other just basic problem is it's a circle.
Yeah.
And if you were in anything like a wheelchair or require any services, there were just parts of that you probably wouldn't be able to get through very easily because it's very hard to rotate anything with wheels around a circular space.
Yeah, like if you needed to get to Conops, for example, that was effectively at the back.
And that was just one narrow circular hallway. Like it was effectively like a rim hallway outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
I had trouble accessing back there, and I'm not using wheels of any sort.
Yep. And you know, the other thing I'm going to point out is a lot of the like barriers to stop you falling for 5 floors weren't that high. Like they were around my hip height.
So if anyone's wearing heeled fursuits,
Yep.
that could be dangerous too. And I do trust fursuiters to know their own limits and stuff like that. Did you miss the exit?
Yep. It's fine. We'll figure it
Did you
out.
miss the exit because they wouldn't let you over?
Yes, I did.
Michiganders, you guys need to work on your, like, you know,
Road etiquette.
yeah, niceties.
It's thinking about it.
Yeah, it's fine.
There we go.
It's just telling you to do a U-turn.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine. We've got a 4-hour drive home.
Yeah, I added 2 minutes to it to, you know, pull off at one exit and then, go around. It's not a problem.
Another issue that this venue kind of caused was, I think, because they switched venues, they also had to switch dates.
Mm-hmm.
And because they switched dates, they were the week after First Squared, which is another fairly big local con. Both of them, I think, draw fairly similar numbers, at least according to the Fur wikis. Because you guys actually post numbers. It's nice.
Yep.
And for a lot of people, just because they were on back-to-back weekends, that's a lot of paid time off for people to take. From what we were talking to, from the people we saw there, most of the people there effectively chose one con to go to. There were a couple people who went to both. There were a lot of people who were new, and there were a lot of people who were local. But
I think the change of date in particular did mean that there were a lot of people who had to make that call, and to a certain extent, we did as well.
Yeah.
Like, we contemplated doing First Squared last week. We ended up not doing it for several reasons.
One of which is just we really do like Singawa.
Yeah.
That episode didn't get as many views because I don't think as many people have heard of it. I do encourage you to listen to that episode because I actually do think it's a great under-the-radar con that's about perfect size, perfect space, generally.
Yep.
And it was downtown too, but I think it did a bit of a better job to manage it.
I think so, but again.
And I also want to emphasize, because we were talking about this, because we know that Anthro, Ohio also moved their venue last year.
Mm-hmm.
And for them, I would definitely say it was necessary.
Yes.
Because they were just straight up spilling at the seams out of theirs.
Yeah, Anthro, Ohio, the first year we were there, had so many more on-day registrations than they expected that they probably were bordering on dangerous. They needed to change venue. We're not convinced you guys needed to. The Eagle Crest, it was busy-ish, but it didn't feel like it was spilling out the rafters.
I do get that you guys had some major problems with it, one of which I'm sure was parking, which was nuts.
Parking was bad at Eagle Crest, I will admit that.
We didn't experience that because I will admit we were not late-night con goers, so we were getting there at 9 a.m. and leaving at 10 p.m., which is opposite of half the people there's schedule, so it was actually fairly easy for us to park.
Yep. But I know throughout the day it was getting bad.
And I know that Eagle Crest also had problems with temperature control, particularly on the second floor. And that meant that you couldn't have as big a sponsors lounge. And I know that you have a lot of sponsor tier furries who likely want a sponsor tier experience. So I do get the need to change.
Yeah.
And I do get if you guys kept growing, you probably were going to need to change probably within the next 5 years.
Yeah.
It's just I'm not sure that
I'm not sure the trade-offs were worth it.
For us specifically.
Yeah.
Even though they might be for other people.
Yeah. And we did hear similar sentiments expressed by some other people.
And I do want to emphasize most of our complaints this weekend, I think, were just with the venue. The con itself, I can recognize they were trying. It's just they were running up against a lot of venue-related issues from other people at the con, to doors just randomly being closed at very random times.
Yep.
To, I know you tried to use a parking app to get people parking spots, which we can probably transition into at this point.
Yeah, let's talk parking. So,
yeah.
When we arrived on Thursday, we just kind of grabbed the first lot that we could find that was...
basically the hotel lot that was $25.
Yep.
It was technically $31 if you stayed beyond 3 hours.
If you stayed more than, I think it was 4 hours, it was $31.
Yeah.
Which is bonkers. Because on night one we weren't there for terribly long, it was only 25, but that's still real expensive for a 4-day con.
Yeah.
We ended up getting very, very lucky on the Friday.
There was this random lot next to one of the recommended lots that no one was going into that was $10 a day.
Yep.
So we just went into that lot.
So we went into it. Getting into the building, into the actual venue from there was a bit of a weird higgledy-piggle, because again...
Yeah, you had to go through a second building, then across the skywalk, then the doors across were locked, so you had to go down one set of doors on the same skywalk and then back in.
Yeah, I had no idea why the hell those doors were closed.
Yep.
It made no sense.
No, it didn't.
There was no reason for them to be closed.
This was not on the con... This obviously wasn't the con's decision. It was just one of those things.
Yeah, but they had signs up saying, these doors are closed, go that way. And I'm like, why? Is it just because the hotel was too cheap to stick a security person on that door who also didn't need to be there? So yeah, we're not fans of this venue, is the honest truth.
Yeah, and I know that they did offer through They did try to offer cheaper rates for people through, I'm trying to remember the
Spot
app.
Hero.
Yeah, I think it was Spot Hero, one of the other parking apps. I did try to look there for stuff. By the time I was looking, which was actually still fairly early on Thursday, none of their links actually linked to anything that was useful. Like, I could see some spots available, but all were more than the $10 a day that we wound up paying and further away. That's also just my issue with Spot Hero, I will admit. Generally, I know a lot of people use it. I'm not convinced it's that good, because every single time I've tried to use it, I found cheaper parking just by going around and looking as opposed to going on Spot Hero. So I think Spot Hero is kind of a scam, but maybe that's just my own bias.
Yeah. And again, we know that Bridget and James have had problems with it.
Yeah. So yeah, I do appreciate that they offered this, but that didn't really work for us generally a lot of the time. And I'm sure the rooms were also more expensive just because we were downtown, but we don't stay in the hotel rooms, so we can't really review that. So. And yeah, on the way back, doors were just straight up locked, so we couldn't get back into the building that we were going into. So we had to basically go around and go down a street that said we weren't allowed to walk down.
But we didn't have a choice
because there was literally no other way to get to that car park other than doing that.
Yep.
So yeah.
Not great.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we coped, and and we did keep using that lot for the next 2 days as well because
it was significantly cheaper than every other lot around it, and no one was using it for whatever reason. I think we saw like one other person from the con in that lot.
Yep. So yeah, it basically meant total we spent $55 on parking this weekend,
which for downtown is not bad.
It's not bad for 4 days, but like if we hadn't randomly happened to find that $10 lot, we would have been spending $120 on parking this weekend. Like, that's kind of bonkers, and it's not like anytime you're looking at how much you spend on a con, there are a bunch of factors you don't necessarily think about. Some of which are like, how much is food going to cost me? How much is the petrol to drive there and back? And one of those things is parking. And adding, you don't necessarily think about the parking costs when you're like budgeting and booking the tickets. But if you are somebody who is a bit cash strapped, suddenly having to pay an extra $120 in parking over the weekend, that's prohibitively expensive for some people. And I know that some of the car parks will do like a reduced rate if you're staying at the hotel and things like that, but it's still a lot.
It is, and I know a lot of people are staying at the hotel, so it would just be one in at a price for them generally, but it's still a lot for local people. And it is something that I think I've been talking a little bit about to you this weekend, is both this and Anthro, Ohio, which I think, in terms of like cons that aren't AnthroCon, which necessarily has to be expensive given how big it is. Both of these conventions have recently moved into downtown spaces, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is something for which it's going to make certain elements of the con less accessible to certain people. And that is a trade-off that I think furry cons should be aware that they're making when they do that. It's not necessarily to say it's a bad trade-off, and it might also be an inevitable trade-off, but it's still a trade-off.
But again, it says something that I repeatedly over the course of this weekend uttered the phrase, I want to know who designed this building so I can smack them upside the head.
Yeah, we do. We've been to enough conventions that we've discovered that there are two types of architects. There's the type of architect that favors function over design and like tries to make a functional space first and an interestingly designed space second. Like the Columbus Convention Center is like that. It has some interesting design features, but is also an incredibly functional convention center.
It's aggressively practical.
Yeah. I think the furries will know this one because it's where AnthroCon is held. The David Lord's Convention Center in Pittsburgh is kind of the opposite. It's still a functional space for the most part.
But it's got a couple of choices that were clearly aesthetic rather than practical. Anybody who knows the bridge in between the two halves of it that goes over the main, floor space, you know what I'm talking about. This center goes even further.
Yeah, this is on the
direction.
Extreme end. It's pretty looking, it's interesting looking, but it's so impractical.
Again,
and it was clearly made before ADA was a thing. Because we were looking at some of the tables on the lower floor that just had this really annoying step up to them. And one of those tables had a ramp. The con wasn't on this floor. We were just doing that during off hours.
Again, we needed we need a little bit of a breather and a walk and like.
Yeah, so we're just walking around one of the other floors that had like these tables set up that had no chairs at them. I assume they would have chairs normally.
Yeah.
But all of them just had this one really annoying little step that made it impossible for wheelchair access. And like 1 out of the 10 of these tables had a ramp.
Yep. Yeah. So the other thing I will, say is, the thing that I found very interesting is that there was no fursuit parade at this con. There was last year. There was not this year, and I'm pretty sure the reason for that is that there was literally nowhere they could parade, and that's a shame. Like, the fursuit parade is not something I participate in for obvious reasons.
We don't fursuit.
We don't fursuit.
Although you did tell me at this con for the first time that you might want one someday.
I vaguely considered it when I believe what I said.
If anyone is listening to this who would like to take that idea and run with it, we are on board.
I still don't actually know what fursona I would have.
Well, I will tell you he's 6'6" and skinny, and you can just go from there.
Okay. But anyway. But, it really does come down to the fact that...
To clarify, I don't actually expect anyone to make us a fursuit for free. No. That's wildly expensive.
Yeah,
if you're doing that, at least have us pay for it.
Yeah.
And also ask us before you do that and then expect us to pay for it, because that's also like something that we would need to talk about.
But anyway, as I was saying, but no, the space is just wildly impractical in terms of there was no way you could physically do a fursuit parade.
Yeah.
Which is a pity.
Yeah. Because I know that's important to a lot of people a lot of the time.
Yeah. So, are there any other things we want to talk about with regards to the venue?
Those are kind of the main things. I will say this venue just ultimately didn't wind up working for us, and it didn't work for us so much that sadly I do think that if this was held in this venue the next year, we'd have to consider not going, which is sad.
It's sad. We still really like this event.
We do.
We really like the people.
Yeah, we love the people who are running it. We love the people who are attending it. It's just the venue for us, might be a non-negotiable
might be a
thing.
Deal breaker.
And that's not to say that all cons should be designed around us, but it is something for which I think for us and a few other people, this venue might be a bit of a barrier to entry.
Yeah.
That said, I do also get that cons need to grow with venues, and anytime you're moving venues, particularly with the Furry Con, there's going to be a lot of logistical issues.
There are going to be issues.
Like Anthro, Ohio, I think last year had a bit of growing pains. I'm hoping that this might be just kind of growing pains into a new space. That said, I do kind of hope that this is a transitional space rather than a space that they're going to use again.
Yeah. So, yeah. I would talk about food at this venue, but I didn't have any.
Yeah. They did have one of those hotel stores that was actually fairly well stocked at the bottom floor of the Marriott. I'm sure it was overpriced, but you could get pretty much any of the basic snack stuff there.
Yep.
And the sponsors lounge had a bunch of stuff, I'm sure,
yeah.
but we were not sponsors. So.
We are not sponsors, and I did also notice a bunch of people, it was downtown, which did mean there were, a bunch of, restaurants, and I saw, there was a pizza place across the street that I saw several people having boxes from throughout the weekend, so...
Well, it was called Cat Pizza or something like that. It was going to attract them.
Yeah, I think it was Pizza Cat or something like that. Or I think the slogan was something like "Put the weird back in pizza."
I think it was "Keep Pizza Weird," which makes me think they started in Austin because Austin's city slogan is "Keep Austin Weird."
Yeah.
So.
But either way, so there wasn't a lack of available food.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
He has a certain burger place that he adores, and he insisted upon going there 3 times.
Yeah. Look, okay.
If Tasty's Burgers would like to sponsor this podcast.
Yep. Yes, Tasty's Burger,
mm-hmm.
which again, I go to when we're in Michigan, because as far as I know, they're only in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And we get up to Michigan twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I came across them completely by accident. Was it the first MCFC or was it the first UConn? I think it was the first. Yeah, it was the first UConn.
I would pass this truck before people get annoyed at you.
Yeah, that's probably a good call.
Yeah, I think it was just randomly we're looking for something to get at 10 o'clock at night, and you stop for gas, and I'm like, well, there's a burger place attached to this gas station that looks interesting.
That looks interesting, and I took one look at them and I went, wow, these burgers are bonkers. This looks fun. So I went there 3 times this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It is a chain, so it's not the same one I've gone to every time, but yeah.
Yeah.
I got the Volcano burger. it's got jalapeno poppers on it. Anyway, that's enough of a plug for Tasty's Burger, but yeah.
Tasty's Burgers, a heart attack on a bun.
Pretty much. But the other thing I will say is, like, I didn't really want to go and try and get food at this venue just because, again, getting between floors was a pain. So, you know, in order to get food, I would have had to have gone down to at least 3 where the main lobby was, or maybe all the way down to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, go outside and get food somewhere else. And, like, it's kind of a faff. Because, again, like, navigating around this space was not easy and wasn't particularly pleasant. You know, like, again,
You said again like 20 times.
Yeah,
We're trying to cut down on that, by the way. But if you want to make that a drinking game, you absolutely can while you're listening to this. If you're plus the age of 21 only.
I mean, you could do a drinking game. You just can't do it with alcoholic beverages.
Yeah.
But no, as I was saying, one of the... I've completely lost my train of thought now. Thanks, honey.
Going out to get food, you didn't want to risk because of how hard it was to go out and get food generally.
Yeah. As I was saying, one of the things that I do pretty much as the first thing we do when we arrive at a convention is we'll usually grab our badges as quick as we can. And after that, I usually like to walk around the space a little bit, explore it, get my bearings, know where things like fire exits are. And various other things, like where are the good bathrooms, all of that kind of stuff. At least in part because, again, when
you said again.
Stop calling me on it. If you are somebody who is acting as a handler, which I do,
he does.
Ball
gowns are like fursuits; they require somebody to look out where you're going.
Mm-hmm. And again, whether that be because you are a handler of somebody with a disability, somebody with a complex costume, any of that stuff, you need to know where that stuff is in order to do it properly if there is an emergency. And normally, when we go to a new venue, I can do that quite comfortably on day 1.
Mm-hmm.
I did not really get a sense of where the heck things were in this venue until today.
Yeah.
And that was mostly just because random doors were locked and, like, other things weren't accessible. I had to take a couple of weird routes today. It meant I went through more of the space and figured out more stuff. But, like...
Because it's, like, I think 4 circular towers that are interlinked, it's very confusing which one you're in, because all of them look identical.
Yep.
And it's very confusing which one links to which one.
Yeah. So, again, I eventually kind of figured it out, but it took a lot longer at this venue than it normally does.
Yeah, and there were a lot of other people wandering around, because there were a bunch of people there for Valentine's Day dinner, there were people for a volleyball tournament.
Yep.
And this is a bit trickier than it normally would be, just because it's a plus 18 con, which we'll talk a little bit more about.
Yes.
Should we shift more into chronological order?
I think at this point we're probably ready to go chronological.
So
we basically left work at, I skipped out a teensy bit early. I left at about 4:30.
On Thursday.
On Thursday. I took the whole of Friday off.
Mm-hmm.
And, so we packed the car in the morning. We got on the road. And just went straight from work rather than going home. And then, 4-hour and change drive. Like, not a lot of change, but... we got in at, call it 9:30? 8:30?
8:30, I think, was closer to 8 because MST3K started at 9.
Yeah.
We just parked in the hotel across the venue, which was highway robbery in terms of pricing, but it was close and we did not feel like faffing around.
Yeah.
So I was not in costume and I felt naked.
Yeah.
No one recognized me. It was weird.
Yeah. that was there was a lovely moment where somebody heard my voice, looked over at us, and realized who we were, despite having looked at us at least twice before then.
Mm-hmm.
Because they hadn't. I don't think they recognized you without the silhouette of the ball gown.
Yep.
Because again, we came straight from work. We didn't have time to change. And we knew that the only thing we were doing on Thursday was badge pickup and MS3T3K.
Mm-hmm.
So we went in. The one thing I will say is, on that side of the hotel and convention center, they had a bunch of signage up.
That was nice.
That was nice.
And I will say most other parts of the convention center, the staff at least were kind enough to direct you where you're supposed to go.
Yes. But yeah, so
We walked in, took the elevator up. There's a series of different elevators, which was confusing.
yeah, so if you were going in from like the main entrance, you had to go in through the main entrance up to 3, where the lobby of the hotel is. Why the hell the lobby of the hotel is on 3? I have no goddamn idea. Then you
take a separate set of elevators up to floors 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And then those are the main ones for the con. I will say that they did have the map on the website fairly well labeled. I understood pretty quickly where stuff was just by looking at it. So that was nice.
That was nice. Like, again, the maps that the con provided were actually pretty good. So yeah, so then it was up to floor 5 for registration. There was a line.
Yep.
It was not a particularly short line because Reg had some problems this year.
Yeah, it was, I think, more of an impact on Friday after we had badges, but they were already having a bit of a line on Thursday. This is, by their own admission, they were having Reg problems. I will say...
Again, they were having some kind of tech problems getting like the various things talking to each other. So they were not moving people through as quickly as they wanted to be, and they apologized for it like multiple times.
Yeah.
They auctioned off the right to name one of their badge printing machines in the charity auction. I suspect it probably ended up with a very insulting name.
Yeah. And I also do want to clarify that typically when there's registration problems, since I have ADA accommodation, we don't typically experience them. So I will say that we weren't terribly bothered by this. And I don't know, I didn't find this a particularly big deal, but I will also say I didn't wait in any of those lines. So it's not fair for me to say that it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, because I will say this. One of the staffers noticed us kind of looking at the line and was like, hey, you looking for the reg line? I said, actually, we're looking for the accessibility reg line. They said, follow me. And they basically took us to the front, sat us off to the side, and said, somebody will be with you momentarily.
Yes, and they did a good job with that. I do really kind of wish the process had been better explained. I did we'll talk more about the ADA accommodations you have this year, but I would like a little bit more information on the website just so we know where to go, and maybe some more clear signs, like a sign that you just stuck on that side that said access line, something like that, or somebody to help out with. Just because some people, for their disabilities, they're going to have disabilities that make communicating difficult. We thankfully don't. So having a bit more clear signage, I think, for those who are like deaf or hard of hearing, for instance,
would be useful.
Yeah, because it is dangerous for people who are hard of hearing to wait in line sometimes too, particularly in that space.
But yeah, so they called us up relatively quickly. It was probably like a minute, 2 minutes.
2 minutes. They gave us the badges, and how the system worked is they checked IDs because it is an 18+ convention. Each ID is attached to a certain badge. They have a nifty scan system where they can just scan your ID and look up your badge, which is pretty awesome.
That's pretty useful. They can't do it with mine because, again, British ID. But that's fine. And then once they've checked you in, they tell you what your badge number is. You go over to the other desk. You tell them what your badge number is. They print your badge for you, and your lanyard, and job done. So do you want to tell them what you put on my badge this time?
At this point, I want to say, if you are furries and you just want to message me suggestions, at this point I will take them. I've already come up with a couple this weekend.
Of course she has. Yeah, for anybody who's not familiar, because fur cons let you put whatever you want on your badge, because a lot of people want their persona name on their badge rather than their legal name. And she is the one who buys the tickets. She gets to decide what's on my badge. What did you put?
Bag of Richards.
If you don't realize why that's funny, give it a second.
Works better than Spotted Richard.
It took Iggy like 2 days to realize why that was funny last time. Oh, side note.
Oh yeah, we should have announced this at the beginning of the episode.
We should have said this earlier. We completely forgot. For those of you who've been following the podcast for a while, you will know that our friend Iggy, who's a fairly well-known, prominent member of the furry community, was in search of a kidney. We are very pleased to report he has one.
He does.
He actually had the surgery on the same day that you had your awful medical appointment.
Yes. And I was hoping one of those would go well. I'm happy it was his.
Yeah. In a choice between your stuff going badly and his stuff going badly, yeah. But by all accounts, he is recovering well. it's probably going to be a while before he's at any conventions, just because, again, like...
As somebody who's a bioethicist, kidney donation, one of the biggest things is making sure your body doesn't reject the organs. You have to be on immunosuppressants, which basically means you can get sick extraordinarily easily. So cons are off the table till you can get off immunosuppressants, pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is going to take a while, generally.
But we are very, very glad to report that he is doing well.
Mm-hmm.
With that said...
He's now trying to pay it forward by helping another person, I think, in the fur community who needs a kidney, which is awesome. So this person's name is Tink. So Kidney for Tink, Fairfeather, that's Fairfe. I think you know how to spell feather. That was just the way you spell feather. So Tink, Tink, and then Fairfeather, like it sounds, like fair feather. If you Google that, you should have access to their link tree, generally, and information about them. And that should link you to where you can go if you are still considering donating a kidney for any way, shape, or form. And it's awesome that Iggy wants to pay this forward and keep it part of the fur community. That's awesome.
And it's also worth noting that the kidney Iggy got was not donated to him, insofar is not the one that was donated to him. As far as they did one of those paired donations where somebody basically said, I will give up my kidney to Iggy. They weren't compatible, but they could give it to somebody else. And that somebody else had somebody who was, also willing to give up a kidney for them, and they weren't compatible. So, they basically did a switch.
Yeah.
That's an increasingly common thing, and it's a really good thing.
It is.
Because it means more people are getting kidneys.
Yes. Match programs are great. They're very respectful all of the time. And I think the person who actually wanted to give a kidney to Iggy, because it's difficult to get them scheduled for the same date, has just given their donation really recently. Because it was a couple weeks ago, I think their donor has just given their kidney. Yes. And their donor is not anonymous, but that said, we don't have permission to talk about them. So if you go to iggyland.org, that's IGGY land LAND. It'll have a link to both Tink stuff now, if you just want to go through there, and a link to how you can get in contact with their donor if you just want to thank them or something like that.
Yep.
So.
And again, I will put a link to that website in the description in the show notes.
Yes. And keep in mind, this is extraordinarily good news. I know Iggy's trying to downplay it a little bit. Kidney rejection is still possible and can be devastating, so we really want to make sure that Iggy's healthy and support him during this time period. So.
Agreed. But, so we wanted to say that. We probably should. We meant to say that.
We meant to say at the beginning of the episode. We're a little distracted with the venue problems. I'm going to be honest. But we'll be in the show notes. Shout out Iggy. Also, I'm sure would love because he can't see a lot of people in person right now. If you just wanted to reach out to him and ask how he's doing, I'm sure he would love that. So.
Send him gifts.
Yeah. Gifts and gifts.
Yes, both of those things.
Yes.
So where were we?
Registration.
Yes.
So registration, they print off your name, or they check you in with an ID, and then you go over to a printer thing to print off your name.
Yep.
And that prints your badge based on the information that you gave them.
Yes. And I think the main problem registration was having is they have 3 printers, and they said they're requiring a 4th. I think only one of them was working due to technical issues.
Based on what they were saying, they were all connecting to the same information. They all should have been connecting to get different information, so all of them are effectively printing the same badge.
Yes.
And you don't need 3 of one badge.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, the bigger holdup that they were having.
Yeah.
That said, at the time we were there was cool. They also shout out your names, which is great. And they did a straight up shout out bag of dicks, which was great.
Yeah. Thanks for that, honey.
Yep.
But yeah. So after that, back out of there, and then we headed to the MST3K panel.
Yep.
So for anybody who's not familiar, MST3K is Mystery Science Theater 3000, which was a TV show based on the principle of this television station has access to a lot of really old, really bad movies that they are allowed to show, but they don't show because they're all old and terrible. How about we get some people to riff on them, and it'll be fun and silly and amusing. So that was the principle of the actual MST3K show.
Yeah.
And at a FurCon, MST3K basically means we're going to show a terrible movie. And the audience is very welcome to riff on it, make jokes, and just kind of laugh at it, while the panelists will be playing a drinking game where the rules are created by the audience and by charity donations.
Also, briefly wanted to mention before we got there, one thing the registration does well that we love: pocket guide, paper schedule.
Oh my god, yes, both of them. Again, the actual like program book, super useful. The little pocket guide that just had like convention map and schedule, super helpful. Thank you very much for
And a
that.
booklet with panel descriptions.
Yay.
I don't have to go online to look for the panel descriptions. I can look for them in a book.
That is great. Like, we love this stuff.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I do really like, and I want to mention at this point, this is a con that really likes its theming. Like, last year, their theming was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and they went all in on it. Right down to the fact we actually found out that the person who bought badge number 42, which, again, you don't pick your badge number, it's just whatever place you are in the queue when it gets bought, got a free upgrade to, like, was it sponsored tier or was it super sponsored tier?
I don't remember. I think it was, they originally were just going to give them a free badge, but I think because it wound up being somebody who was volunteering for the con anyway, they just bumped them up a tier.
No, so what they said was number 42 would have been a staff member who already basically gets all the perks.
Yeah.
So instead, they rejiggered the order of the list slightly so that the head of registration got badge 0 instead of badge 1. Meaning that badge 42 actually went to an attendee, and yeah, then they bumped them up. You know, I don't know if they bumped them up 1 tier or 2 tiers, but like, they got a bonus for being badge number 42, which is cute.
Yeah.
So again, like, they like going all in on the theming. The theming this year was press pause to start, so it was video game themed, and there's some really good art on the front of the front of the program guide.
Yeah, and this con, like a lot of free cons, has special guests, but I will say special guest effectively means that you're doing programming for the con a lot of the time.
Frequently.
So the special guest Quack Quack Conk did the drawings for, I think, the lanyards and the front of the cover book, which are great. And as a reminder, we don't tend to mention people's actual names, but if they are guests in the con, you can find them. And we are going to probably mention people's personas because that's not their actual name.
Yeah, most furries are comfortable with their persona names being said.
Yeah.
So the other special
Although
guest...
I will say this year we have officially crossed the barrier for which my students just have persona names as their actual names.
Yeah.
Like, there was a Talon at this con. I have multiple Talons at my university now.
Yeah. I'm going to choose to believe all those people just watched Farscape at a
like Orion, I've had a couple Orions at this point. There's a lot. It's just crossing over now.
Yep. It's funny.
I say if we ever actually do have a... Listen, if you are listening to this, if we ever do have a kid, I will totally auction off naming rights at a FurryCon.
Don't do that.
Oh, I'll totally do that.
Don't promise them that.
I will totally 100% do that.
Okay. That will raise a lot of money.
It will. We might have to compromise the middle name.
Yeah. Anywho. Now, the trick is to just sell that at multiple different fur cons and just give them like 6 middle names.
Yep.
But anyway. MST3K?
Yeah.
And the panelists are playing a drinking game for MST3K,
yep.
which the rules are determined by the audience and by charity donations. So it's pretty simple. You state what you want one of the rules to be. You pay an amount to the charity. It's sort of your choice how much you pay, but they will sometimes say a specific rule to the drinking game needs to be... There needs to be a little more money going into the pot for that to work it for them. Like, if it's a rule that's going to get them killed through alcohol poisoning, you're going to need to donate more to the charity to make it worth it for them. Which is fair. So my usual rule is somebody dies, because I think that one's funny. You added in... you lose faith in humanity. Yeah,
which I don't think anyone actually drink. I think it was mostly just why you drink to begin with, but it was funny. So.
Yeah. So again, we threw in $10 each for that, effectively. Like somebody threw in anytime a medallion or half a medallion is on screen, and that person clearly knew what the movie was.
Yep.
Because there are generally speaking, there are 2 rounds of introducing rules. One of which is before you know what the movie is, and one of which is after.
Yep.
And generally speaking, the rules for after, they want a little bit more, money for the charity.
Yeah. By the way, the charity this year, let me see if I can pull up their official title just so I can say it. But I will say the charity, like a lot of furry cons will do kind of a 3-year rule where they'll donate to the same charities 3 years in a row, and then move on to a different charity.
Wolf Creek something or other.
Yeah. Give me a second to pull it up. I will say this group of charity people comes the closest to just straight up being furries to begin with. Like, it's clear to me that last year was a lot of those people's first furry conventions, but like
several of them now, like one of them was wearing ears the entire weekend.
yeah, he was doing that last year too, or they were. I shouldn't assume pronouns.
Yeah. At least a couple of people encountered this charity at the FurCon last year and are now working for them as volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been some cross-contamination on that one, but they are a organization that looks after wolves and foxes and like does educational stuff and all that jazz. And yeah, you can go and meet the wolves. Like, you're not allowed to touch the wolves, but the wolves are absolutely allowed to touch you, which means you are probably going to get licked by a wolf.
Yep. Yeah, so they have Meet the Charity on their website, but it's clearly not for the same charity. Okay, here it is. You can do it. Come on. It's fine. It's in the book somewhere. I will find it.
Yeah. Yeah. Again.
So part of the reason I'm mentioning this though is because like for some of these events, the charity is not at like these events, even though they're raising money for charity. This charity was at pretty much every event that was raising money for the charity and having an absolute ball with it.
Yeah, it was great watching them last year at MST3K, where they clearly hadn't realised what they'd let themselves in for over the weekend. This year they were more prepared.
Yeah.
For one thing, they brought a lot more plush this year to sell at their booth.
Yeah.
Because they had like plush versions of their wolves, and that's very, very cute. Furries like plush, like a lot.
I mean, I like plush a lot. We're still in this like I think nebulous state where it's unclear whether we're furries or not.
Again, I would not classify myself as a furry. Like, I adore the community. I'm not sure I'm into anthropomorphic animals enough to be a member of that community, if that makes any sense.
We like furry conventions. We like the people who go to them.
Yeah.
But I also just feel completely neutral towards the concept of anthropomorphic animals beyond the fact that they give me ball gown costumes.
Yep.
Which I do adore.
You do adore.
So yeah, we're happy to be honorary furries or whatever. So.
Yep.
So yeah, I can't find the exact name of the charity, but I'm sure it's on their website somewhere.
Yeah.
As far as it's dark at this point.
So, I was like, Wolf Creek.
Yeah, I think it's Wolf Creek.
But yeah, so
they were there. I will say a lot of the normal people who tend to do this panel were out. Pandez, who was one of the guests of honor, did found at this panel though, so he was doing it.
Yep.
And Sigma was helping.
Yep.
And a few other people were there.
Various members of the con board and that kind of jazz.
Yeah, and I think the reason a lot of the main kind of cast of furry comedians were out was because First Go was the week before, doing two back-to-back, I'm sure was a lot on them, so.
Yeah. Yeah, so no Alkali, no Boozy, and no Iggy at this con.
Well, Iggy is not...
Iggy has very understandable reasons for not being here.
I have a feeling Iggy probably would be here otherwise, because this is his home convention, so.
But again, like, rest up, recover, don't do anything too dumb. But yeah. Also, we joined the group, like, Telegram chat to, like, talk about the updates from him. He shared some updates in the days after the surgery. But yeah, that's the important thing. But yeah. So MST3K, I love this panel.
I do too.
Like, it's mostly just a room full of people riffing on a bad movie.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is, because it was in main events, which was the right space for it, to be fair.
Yeah, what was the movie, by the way?
Double Dragon.
Yeah.
Which, again, given the theme of this con, I was 90% sure we were going to get a bad video game movie.
Yeah. I don't think they wanted to do Mario Brothers because they've already done it.
Yes, they basically said Super Mario Brothers has been done. They said they wanted to do one that hadn't been done in a FurCon in at least a decade. So that was off the table. Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, because they asked, what's the movie going to be? Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter were both suggested, and the comment was good guesses, but no. And yeah, so the movie was Double Dragon, which is terrible.
Yep.
It's really, really bad. But again, Robert Patrick is having immense fun playing the villain.
Yeah.
Like, the movie itself makes absolutely no sense.
No. And there's some weird cutaways that also don't make sense. Also, there's somebody who has the head of a penis at some point. It was more of a ball sack than a penis. I don't know what the point of that was.
Again, it was an attempt to integrate some stuff from the game. Like, there is a boss in the game who looks sort of like that, but vastly more pixelated. You know, so, like, in the game, he just looks like a ridiculously overroided person, as opposed to whatever the heck that decision was.
Yeah.
Again, if you've seen Double Dragon, you know exactly to which we are referring.
Yeah, but I do think this would have been better in a panel room that was maybe a little smaller, just so everyone could hear each other riffing on the film.
Yeah, like, the people on the stage you could hear fine, but they had microphones. Whereas the rest of us, you know, in the audience kind of had to shout.
Yep.
So there were a few good gags coming from the audience, but again, it was, you know, it mostly worked.
Yeah.
You know, like, I might have suggested that they advise people, like, moving closer to the side sections near the screen, just so, like, everybody can hear each other better.
They do have closed captioning on for the films, which I appreciate, though.
Very much, yeah, very useful in that room.
Yeah, and this was also, by the way, when people first recognized us, because we walked into the room and no one noticed us.
Yep.
And then you started talking. They're like, wait, is that...
Oh, it's you guys. Hi.
Yeah, and also no one knows our names, which is great.
Yep.
That's just going to be a trend that continues. We really should have committed to a name earlier. So everyone's like, oh, it's that couple. And it's so great. I love it. What did you put on his badge this year?
Yeah, show them. That's great. But yeah.
And also, like, it is quite nice that people now are starting to recognize us at furry cons. So.
Yeah.
So that was fun. We riffed on the movie for a bit. People got drunk. And I do think at this con, the rules are people on stage have to drink, and I think this is true for most MST3K panels. If you want to play along, you can bring in their own drinks. No one's going to stop you, as far as I know.
I get the impression the hotel actually technically told them they weren't supposed to do that. So they officially they were drinking apple juice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to contradict that. I have no evidence that they were not drinking apple juice.
Well, it's also one of those things that, like, obviously drinking, everyone goes on their actual own pace. Like, it's for show a lot of the time. Because I know for a fact Iggy because Iggy was always on these panels, before he got kidney surgery, he was definitely not drinking alcohol during those panels.
No. Which
is fine. You shouldn't be forced to drink alcohol given that he has a kidney disease.
Yep. But yeah, like, again, we love this panel to bits. It's a lot of fun. A lot of it does come down to, like, making sure you pick the right level of bad movie. Weirdly, I think it was last year's MCFC where the problem was the movie was too good. Because it was Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah, everyone got just really into watching that at the end because it was, I think, just one of Alkali's favorite movies.
It was a good movie, which kind of misses the point of MST3K. Whereas this year the movie was...
It was great.
It was terrible. In all the ways you want at this kind of panel. Like, it was just endlessly riffable.
Yep.
Like, Robert Patrick had Vanilla Ice hair. It was great. There was one character who was blatantly just the writer's fetish.
Yeah. It's also the most 90s thing I think I've ever seen.
So, yeah. Again, that panel's a lot of fun. It's very, very silly. And it is a good way to kick off the con.
Yeah.
So at that point, we went to our Airbnb. So I don't think we got to bed until, like, midnight that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, got checked in, unloaded the car, went the heck to sleep. I got my burger.
What burger did you get?
As I say, I got the volcano burger on that first night, which is the one with jalapenos, and it's just got, like, burger, cheese, like normal burger toppingy stuff, jalapeno poppers, bun. It's so stupid. It's wonderful. I love that place.
Also, I suppose kind of relevant, this con is kind of right across from the Canadian border.
Yeah.
Like, directly, like, there's a border control place beside the con space.
Yeah, there are several signs that basically say, if you turn in here, you're going to Canada.
There's not a way to turn around.
So I was pretty nervous driving at the moment, because again, my green card's up for renewal.
Yeah.
Like, the paperwork is in, it's now in the hands of the US government, But it does mean I'm not risking leaving the country in any capacity for a while.
Yeah, and I'm sure if you accidentally go up that ramp and wind up at the Canadian border and don't have a passport or something, you're going to have to pay money somehow.
They're probably going to make you pay in order to just turn around.
Yeah. Because that generally is how that works.
Yeah, it's like, okay, pay the toll, go that way.
The toll's probably like $150.
It's a $3 toll on that bridge.
Yeah, I know that's the toll, but like if they stop you when you don't have a passport, sometimes they.
They probably do some fine on you. So I was being very, very careful, is what I'm saying about where I was driving.
Although apparently we heard rumors of people ordering DoorDash poutine from across the bridge.
That was what. Yeah, the comment was they did find out that it was possible to DoorDash stuff across the border.
This is an unsubstantiated rumor.
Yeah, again, I don't think anybody did it.
I
think. If memory serves, it was Pandez was just like, yeah, I kind of wish we could just like place a giant poutine order for like half the convention, and just like bring it across the border because that'd be great. Like nobody, as far as I know, nobody did that, but it was theoretically possible.
Also, I want to emphasize, particularly if you're a listener of this podcast, just because it actually has come up before. One, if we were not at a con, it is probably not because Richard got deported. Two, if he did get deported, we will tell you. Like, we're not going to be under an NDA about that. We will tell you if that happens.
Yep. I have no idea what the hell we'll do, but...
we will tell you.
Yeah.
Like, we will probably tell everyone, because I will want people to know.
Yep.
So,
yeah. It's a fun time.
Yes. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Hopefully.
In part, because as I think mentioned on the drive down, we really don't have a plan if that happens.
Nope.
Like, we don't. Like, our marriage is just going to be incredibly strained. It's going to suck.
Yep.
Not because there's any, like, level of closeness between the two of us, just because we really hate being apart.
Yeah. Like, again, the first time I came over here, I came over for, like, 2 months.
Yep.
Then went back to the UK for Christmas. And to quote my best friend, I thought you were going to evaporate.
Yeah.
Because of, like, how stressful it suddenly became being apart.
Well, like, this is the thing, is I think both of us, like, prepared for the possibility that there would be no actual in-person chemistry. I think both of us prepared for the possibility that, like, it would be a little awkward at first. I don't think any of us really, or either of us really prepared for the possibility that actually happened, which is, hey, this person is immediately my right arm, and we just have to accept that.
Yep.
Which is what happened.
Yeah,
so,
like, we don't like being apart.
We don't.
So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on from that.
Yeah, so we got into our Airbnb, which was expensive but nice-ish. Like, there were beds for everyone. It was nice-ish. It was about a 20-minute drive, but there wasn't going to be anything downtown that was accessible to me. It did smell of sulfur, just because all of Detroit smells of sulfur.
Yeah. Like, the inside of the house was okay. It was just anytime I had to go outside, it was a bit, like, demony.
Also, a cat chose our car that night.
Yeah. That was great.
Was that truck flashing their lights at you?
Yes. Despite the fact that I can't, like, I don't know what he expects me to do. I'm behind a truck. Anyway.
So we got back to the con next day?
Yep.
And
we got there relatively early, if memory serves, on that day.
Yeah, this was the day that we got there early because we wanted to be there for opening, which was at a time period. I'm going to turn the lights on, mostly to annoy the truck behind us, but also to look at the schedule.
Yep.
So opening was at 10, so we got there at 10.
So we got there at 10.
And we decided to do unicorn costumes that day. So I was Princess Celestia, and you were Princess Luna.
Yeah.
This was the morning where we forgot a bunch of stuff, and we're kind of panicking.
Yeah, we...
This is the thing, is when we pack on Thursday morning and then have to go to work, we're just way less, like, efficient about it, I think, because our minds are just in more places.
Yep.
So we forgot your wig.
We forgot my Luna wig.
I forgot my makeup.
You forgot part of your makeup.
Yep.
Specifically, your foundation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot my headband.
Forgot your headband for the wig.
I think those were the main things.
Yeah. But, like, again, we forgot a few things. Like, nothing catastrophic.
Well, you forgot to give me pads.
No, it looked like they were in the car.
They were in the car? Because I thought that day, when we were driving to the venue, you said that you forgot them at home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot them at the Airbnb because I had to get them in from the car because you needed them in that morning.
Yeah.
And I forgot to put them back in the car.
I apologize for people who are uncomfortable with body stuff, but this was, I think, a reality of this weekend. This was, like, the first day of my period, and it sucked.
Yep.
But I have other ways of dealing with it besides pads. I'm not gonna. If you want a review on like various menstrual products, I'll do that as a separate episode. But for the rest of you who don't want to that, let's just say it was fine.
Yeah, let's move on from that. But yeah, so we made it to opening ceremonies.
Yeah.
This was the day when. So again, the only reason we ended up finding this car park that was $10 was because we wanted to try and swing by a CVS en route
and
to
you
the
realized
con,
pretty quickly it was downtown and not in a good location.
which meant there was no parking, so
Yeah.
we ended up just kind of driving past it. But it meant we came at the venue from a slightly different direction,
Yeah.
which means the sat-nav took us down a different street, which is where we found the parking.
Yeah, we're like, ooh, $10 parking. That's
Yeah.
as good as we're gonna find.
That's as good as we're going to find. Like, it was still a pain in the, pain in the posterior getting in and out of the venue to it, but it was $10.
Yeah. And I also tried something new. I bought a clear backpack because I've decided I want to bring more plush to cons in a way that's accessible and like people can see them as opposed to in bags. And I've been getting a lot of Neopets plush as a reward for the surgery because they're doing a new blind box, which I hate. So I've been getting most of them off eBay so I can just get the different ones for more money. But you know, it's fun. So yeah, I got a bunch of Neopets plush, put them in a backpack, and I figured if anyone was going to enjoy Neopets plush, it's gonna be this con.
Yeah, it's going to be the furries.
Which it was.
It was.
I got multiple Neopets swag just by having that Neopets bag.
Yep.
Like a couple people gave me some like Neopets plush that they had from the old McDonald's toys, which was super cute. I got a Neopets bracelet. And I also traded some Neopets plush too. So that was very fun.
Yeah, you gave away one of them because, again, blind boxes, so you did have a duplicate of one.
Yes.
So you gave that to somebody.
Yes.
But yeah, so you had that. I had the bag containing all of the other Neopets plush because you brought all of them.
Well, they all deserve to go.
Uh-huh.
One of them did make an escape attempt at one point. That Shoiru is really like, you know.
Yeah, he made multiple escape attempts throughout the weekend.
Yeah. He is the smallest, though.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was a thing.
Managed to get into the venue okay after a fairly circuitous route there.
Yeah. Which again, like, was not doing anything for our stress levels.
And they did have an accessibility desk in front of main events, which I think is a great place to have it because that's where you're most going to need it.
Yep.
And they do have accessibility both in the little booklet they gave you and it was also on their website.
Yes.
I'll talk more about it because they talked about it during opening ceremonies.
Yeah.
So during opening ceremonies, I think it was the standard fare stuff generally, like introducing the guests, introducing the charity.
Yep, the usual stuff. They had a video from the charity, which is fun.
I had wolves in it doing cute stuff, which is very cute.
Ah, woo.
Ah, woo. They announced like numbers and stuff from last year. They talked about the new venue. And they talked about their soda sponsor.
Yeah.
Faygo, which is a brand I grew up with too. Like them.
I don't think I've ever tried them.
They're kind of a cheap offshoot soda brand generally, but you know, it's free. So.
Yep.
And they talked about their accessibility system and how they were going to be aware of people with invisible disabilities like mine, which is really great.
Yep.
And they had options. So they had the accessibility desk in the front, and you could pick up sunflower lanyards or sunflower wristbands, which I really liked a lot as a way to signal that you have a disability that's a little bit more discreet. Because it is something that's fashionable, which is cute. Like sunflowers are a cute design.
Yep.
It's partnered with, I think, the Sunflower Program, which is a way of recognizing invisible disabilities that I know the Detroit Airport has, or at least they mentioned the Detroit Airport has. And I like this a lot better than just having like neon wristbands or neon stuff. It's a way to recognize disabilities in a way that's a little bit more humane, a little bit more discreet for people who have invisible disabilities. So.
Yes. Yeah, I think we do like that quite a lot.
I do too.
My one comment, the way that the wristbands attach is they've just got a tightening thing.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but it only tightens. You can't loosen it once it's been tightened, which means if you accidentally over tighten it, it's stuck on your wrist unless you cut it off. And I'm somebody who likes to fiddle with things. So are you to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And it will be very, very easy for somebody to accidentally over tighten it, cut off the circulation of their hand a bit, and maybe do themselves a little bit of a mischief. So a way to slacken those off would be good.
Yeah.
It's not a major criticism. I don't think anybody has any problems with it. It's just something.
And they did also have I like that they had two options, one of which was a lanyard and one of which was a wristband, so you could just pick because a lot of people with accessibility needs have sensory issues. You can pick which one worked the best for you, and I did like that.
Yeah, having options is always good. So yeah, like I did. Generally speaking, I think they handle their accessibility stuff quite well.
Yeah.
It's our only complaint about accessibility this weekend is just that the venue itself was less accessible.
Yeah. That and maybe a little bit more signage of where there's accessibility lines and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be useful. And again, we'll talk about that when we get to specific events.
And I did like that you got both, like, if you did have accessibility needs and wanted a lanyard, which I probably will go for next time, because I do think they're a bit easier than the wristband, which is what I ended up choosing.
Yep.
But I did like that if you got the accessibility lanyard, you still got the normal lanyard too, because the normal lanyard here has, like, really cool art that the artist did. So I like that you got to just have both, and you didn't have to, like, get a special wristband and not get the regular lanyards. So that was really nice.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, yeah, and the rest was pretty well laid out. We, I think, went by it after opening just to get stuff, just because there were people at other times, and I didn't really want to wait in line. So
yeah,
they were nice, didn't ask any questions, and they clarified that you didn't have to show any identification, which is always the best with disability. I appreciate the honor system.
Yep, I basically went up and told them you needed one, and they said, certainly. Yeah, I'm not going to ask any details. You know, if there is anything we wanted to tell them, that you needed in terms of specific stuff, we were welcome to, but we were not obligated to.
Yeah.
Which I think is about the right level to be on for that.
So opening ceremonies was fun. They introduced different people in different departments. Pretty standard fare. Although furries always do a great job with opening ceremonies, I think.
They do. So introduce the various department chairs and all that stuff. Various people, introduce the charity. Yeah. Solid, functional, workhorse opening ceremonies. Got everybody ready to go for the con. What do we do first?
So one thing I do want to shout out also about the schedule is it did very clearly have stuff labeled in terms of what was on what floor. Yes. That was really nice.
That was a good decision. Whoever basically decided to actively split the schedule so you can see, this is the stuff on the 4th floor, this is the stuff on the 5th floor. Great move, no notes. Good job.
Yeah, I think this was the part of the morning where stuff got a little bit rough for us. So we went into tabletop events.
Yes.
And I don't know how much you want to describe that.
For whatever reason, both of our brains were being a bit finicky.
Yeah, I think it was just week of work stress. This time of year, I think, is hard for most people. It wasn't anything serious. That was part of the problem. Is I don't think either of us could really figure out what was wrong. I think it was just new venue, adjusting to it. Getting into the building, I'm going to be honest, was very stressful.
Yeah.
And I think just because of that, we were kind of finding our con legs was taking a little bit longer than normal.
Yeah.
Both of us, I think, have an anxiety spike, particularly with either a new con or a con that's in a new place when we first go there. For me, that anxiety spike generally ends when we get past registration. And for you, that anxiety spike tends to end after the first panel we do.
Yes.
And we know that pretty well about ourselves. Yeah. I think the problem was just because this venue was so
dodgy,
hard.
Yeah.
I was just going to say hard.
Hard works.
Yeah. I don't think either of our anxiety spikes was going away after opening like we expected it to. So we were just kind of in an anxious state for a little bit.
Yeah.
So we hung out in the tabletop games room.
Just kind of chilled in a corner to all intents and purposes.
Yeah. Just until we were ready to kind of start talking to people again.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is I do feel like there was less programming this year, which I think is down to the fact that they were anticipating having, Boozy and Alkali and
people who normally run their programming,
who weren't available because again they were at First Square a week ago.
Yeah, which I know we're not big names at all. I don't think anyone really knows us.
They don't. A few people.
A few people who I think run cons know us. Yeah. But we're happy to run paneling. Obviously we can't headline. We're not going to bring in anybody, but we're happy to run paneling or programming if you want us to.
Yep.
I want to emphasize we are nowhere near as funny as your mainstream comedians, but I could run I wanted to do a panel on just ethics professor reads Reddit stories for a bit, or moral philosopher, because that's my job.
Yep.
And I feel like that would be it at FreeCon.
Yeah, you do you actively use Am I the Asshole stories to teach your students, because they're actually good to look at quote unquote ethics in real world situations and how people react to them.
Yeah, and I would be happy to do a panel like that, and you have that voice, which is always going to be entertaining for reading stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to emphasize, nowhere near as good as your main A crew type people. But if you want just random everyday people to run a panel or two, we'll try to be better about submitting, I think.
Yeah. part of the problem is half the time we don't know what we're going to be at.
Yeah, and I will say furry panel submissions do tend to close a lot earlier than most cons, like months in advance, and we just don't know our schedules that far in advance, which is fair because you have a lot of people who want to run panels and programming, as if not more qualified than we are.
Years. But yeah.
So I think we actually, the first thing we wound up doing was meet the guest of honor.
Yes, it was.
And this, I think, wound up being like a lot of panels from this weekend where it was mostly just kind of people in a room talking to each other, which I actually like as a panel concept.
Yeah, it works.
So this was Pandez and Quack Quack Conk.
Yes. Who, again, are the two guests of honor. And, this was basically just them, like, talking about various things. There was an MC for this panel, who asked them a few questions. They kind of, told some stories. Again, it was a meet the guest of honor panel. I don't know how specific I can be.
Yeah, they told some stories generally. This is where I first think we found out about Darkside. Dorsai. It's a sci-fi reference.
It's not one I recognize.
They said it was. I assumed you knew what it was.
Nope.
I don't think so. So, Quack Quack Honk, I think, is a member of Dorsai. Dorsai is an independent security team that's entirely volunteer-run that effectively runs security or volunteers to run security at certain cons. Exactly how that works, I will admit, I don't know.
Yeah, they work with fur cons a lot. I think technically any con can contact them.
Yeah, according to WikiFur, which I assume is an accurate source of information, because I know you furry historians love your history, they started off as a way to do security at sci-fi cons, which I think at that time period needed security. Sci-fi cons today are a lot less wild.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because generally hotel security, which is at cons a lot of the time, doesn't understand the nuances of what they're looking at a lot of the time, so they're not always great at security.
Yeah.
As you saw from the GalaxyCon incident, a lot of times hotel staff or independent security contractors tend to get confused over costume pieces versus actual weapons. They tend to get confused over what's just a stupid fandom fight versus what is an actual fight. Whereas if you have people who are in the community running security, they're going to be a lot more accessible to people's needs and also be a lot more, fair at dealing with disputes.
Yes.
So, Quack 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 Honk talked about some of their stories from there. Pandez talked about being Canadian and wanting to order from DoorDash.
Yep.
He told actual stories too.
He did, but
people also asked us questions at one point.
Yep.
And I apologized on behalf of them, and they were both like, "Nah, it's fine. This is just a low-key panel."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, most of this con is pretty low-key in that regard. It's a very friendly space.
Yeah. And they had somebody just moderating who I think was a friend who was in their D&D party, so it was just kind of a cool time. So yeah, they were asking a lot of questions. I think I asked 2 or 3 questions, just anyone else wanted to ask questions for a bit.
Which again happens. Yeah. It's not a major problem.
I think I asked, how did you get your persona?
Yep.
I think the panel description said we would hear about your creative process, so I asked what their creative process was. A few other things. It was cute. It was fine. I will say this con actually does a really good job of making people feel comfortable, which is...
It does.
Nice.
But again, and again, it wasn't really an issue with this panel because this one had microphones in, but because of the way the rooms were laid out, they were fairly long and thin.
Yeah.
So I do know some panelists had issues with people not being able to hear them. Which is not great. But again, this room did have microphones in, and the AV team was working really well this weekend.
Yeah, especially in mid-events where they were having an absolute ball. Plus, they were enjoying messing with people all weekend. They messed with people during opening, and
they seemed to realize that by tweaking some setting or other, they could cause a deliberate echo.
They could cause an echo, and there were also lights in the back of the stage that went up to a level of brightness that was way too bright.
Yeah.
You would never need that level of brightness. It would blind the entire room. And they kept waiting for people to or people on stage to turn around, and they would blind them for half a second.
Yeah. Yep. Nothing like deploying a quick flashbang against your guests.
Because I heard them talking about it the first night when they were doing MS3K, and I was like, I wonder what happens if I flick this switch. And they were like, turn that down. I'm like, all right, this already is down. This is the 1% brightness level.
So yeah, the AV team was doing a great job as always. Shout out to AV for just being very goddamn good at what they do. But yeah, so again, perfectly fine, perfectly enjoyable panel.
Mhm.
Like again, there's only so much you can do with the Meet the Guests, Meet the Guest of Honor panel, but they did a good job.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was interesting. Like, we like them as people.
Yeah. So we tried to go to 2 panels after that, neither of which kind of actually worked for us.
Yep.
One of which was the customer service horror stories panel. That one seemed like it was fun. It was just there weren't microphones in the room and it was already pretty packed. So we were at the back.
Yeah, and we couldn't hear
We could not hear what they were saying.
That's not on them. That's just a limitation of the space and the available microphones.
Yep. And then we tried to go to the Cards Against Humanity panel, which was at the same time. That more just wasn't starting on time.
Yeah, furry time's a thing, guys.
Yeah.
Stuff starts late. We'll get onto that. But yeah, so we ended up tapping at that point.
And we decided to just meet the charity, because the charity for this panel, for this con, I will admit, is just really cool.
Yeah.
Like the people who, in addition to the charity obviously always being a great cause, the people who run the Wolf Creek charity are just very cool people.
They're very cool people. They're very nice people.
Yeah. So the charity panel, like, I will say the other thing about going to charity panels, particularly charity panels that are run by furry cons, tend to always pick an animal-based charity, and most often it's an education-based charity.
Yep.
Anytime you go to a panel presented by that charity, they do education-based stuff, so they know how to put together a panel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was an absolute, like, perfect mix of education and entertainment.
Yeah, this was very well put together. Like, they had a PowerPoint, they had stuff prepped, they had a quiz ready to go.
Yeah, and you could win prizes from their charity. They also just gave away like a giant stuffed animal for sitting under like a random seat in the crowd, which is super cute.
Yeah.
They had like a Coot style quiz that you could answer and win like a giant plush for.
They were giving away just tons of like positive affirmation stress balls.
Yep. But the floor had a lot of stress balls on it at one point because they just, I think, ordered so many of those things.
Yep. They like laid a bunch of them out in the corridor as like a line leading into the panel room. That was great.
They had clips from their wolves generally, and like they talked about the wolves in the educational process and stuff like that. So this was just an absolute ball. The charity is just great people.
They are.
And I think some of the furries have started volunteering for the charity now too, which is cool.
They have.
Yep. Yeah, there's been some crossover. Like, there's been some of the people I think at the charity realized that they were just kind of furries already and didn't have terms for it. Mm-hmm. And some of the furries I think have volunteered. Like, this is a very symbiotic partnership. I'm glad this group is working together because they seem like a really great fit for each other.
Yeah, they really do.
Because some of the people I think legitimately bought fursuits after this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I enjoyed the quiz. It was very cute. The person who won the quiz was called Snoodle, which we were rooting for towards the end of the quiz.
Yep.
Because Snoodle is what we call our dog.
Yep. That's one of Emma's many nicknames.
Yep.
Because all dogs have many nicknames.
Yep. I had to learn a little bit about wolves. They also have a fox shelter, which I didn't realize.
Yep. And I got to ask a question related to the fox we had on campus for a bit.
Yeah, we also bought I think it's technically a wolf, but it looks kind of like a fox plushie from them earlier that day before we sat down in the games room in honor of the black fox that we have on campus. Or I think it's technically a silver fox.
Yep.
We might have mentioned it on the podcast before. I don't remember if we did or not.
I remember if you mentioned Sirius.
Yeah, Sirius is what the students named the black fox on campus that just is pretty tame and hangs around campus. No one's seen it in a while, but there was a sighting last fall, so we'll see.
Again, I suspect it's moved on now.
Yeah.
Because we think, based on what we saw, we think she was looking for a good spot to have her cubs.
Yep.
Because she had some cubs,
mm-hmm.
and they have since moved on, and that's fine. But yeah.
I do think there are other foxes in the area that we've also sort of seen. It's just, for whatever reason, this one is quite social. There were rumors that she was somebody's pet, which led to the question that you asked.
Oh, yeah. So they were asking, my company, okay, so our campus had a fox living on it for a little while. We have video evidence of one of the students feeding it cookies. How bad an idea was that? And I just watched the chat and go,
yep.
There was an audible intake of, breath sucked through teeth kind of vibe, where it's just like, oh dear. But no, again, the charity at this con are just really nice people.
Yeah.
Like, they gave us both hugs.
Yep.
Yeah.
They also give anyone who participated hugs. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was very kind, very good, and yeah, I really like this charity a lot. So
yeah.
I have to keep turning the light on to look at the schedule. So after this, I think we stayed in the room for con horror stories.
Yep. Con horror stories is always a hoot because again, let's be honest, there's a lot of stuff happens at cons, especially like cons that involve alcohol and various other substances.
Well, like, this is the thing. We were actually talking about this. We've gone to, I think, close to 100 conventions at this point, probably.
Probably more than that.
Yeah, somewhere around there, depending. We don't really have any horror stories. I'm probably tempting fate by saying that.
Well, we have a couple of horror stories, but the ones we have aren't funny.
Yeah, we have a couple, like, not funny horror stories. And then we have some that we could probably make into funny horror stories, like having to stay an extra night in Louisville, but we knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really that horrifying.
Yeah.
And it's kind of horrifying the ceiling was leaking, but you know.
Yeah. But again, like, they have a standard rule for con horror stories, which is all names redacted.
Yep.
The name of the con redacted, unless it's actually important to the story.
Or it's a con that I think is defunct.
Yep. And there is a 2-year limit. So basically, if it happened in the last 2 years, it's off limits.
Yeah, that said, that last rule in particular is pretty flexible depending on how many charity donations you can get.
Yeah.
So like with most horror story panels, we don't like to tell their stories just so you can go and donate money to the charity to learn those stories. Plus, they're not our stories to tell.
Yep.
But that said, this was pretty standard. It was nice to have some people who were just at members of the MCFC staff there.
Mm-hmm.
Just telling stories.
Yeah. Again, it's a fun panel. You're going to hear some weird nonsense.
Yep.
Because people do a lot of really dumb stuff.
Well, I will say what's particularly interesting about this panel is that there was a story there that we had heard before from Alkali from his perspective, that we then heard from Quack Quack Honk's perspective.
Yes.
Which was a very different perspective.
Yes, it was. Like, we're assuming it was the same story.
I'm pretty sure it was the same story based on events. And like with all good con stories, it's okay to embellish a little bit for purposes of storytelling.
Yes.
That said, I think Quack Quack Honk probably was not embellishing and Alkali was. But there's also a bit of a Rashomon effect with stuff like this.
Yeah.
But either way, both versions of the story were good. And I liked hearing both of them.
And both are very funny.
Yeah.
Because it's a very stupid, funny story.
Yes. Let's just say it involves a very interesting weed device. And if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
They also told the Alkali Oatmeal story, which I think we have told on this one just because of how infamous it is.
The Alkali Oatmeal story is great.
And the thing is, I've heard it like 6 or 7 times now. I know it. Every single time I hear it, I still laugh.
Yep. It's still funny.
Yep.
But yeah. So again, like, this panel's pretty much always fun because again, like, depending on who they've got doing it, they've probably seen some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. After that,
making me turn on the light. On horror stories. Did we go to that? I think we did. Panel description things.
you can just ask me.
What was Furry Thuses again?
Oh, this was the roller coaster panel.
Oh yeah, we did try to go to this.
Yeah, so we went to what we thought was a panel on like interesting roller coasters, which we would have been interested in. We ended up dipping out of this one very early because it became clear that it was less of a panel, more of a meetup.
Mm-hmm.
Insofar as the panel host hadn't actually prepped anything. They were just like vaguely talking about roller coasters they think are cool, and like the audience, who are also roller coaster enthusiasts, were kind of talking about things they thought were cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it had a good vibe, but it wasn't really what we were looking for.
Yep.
Because we, bugger all about roller coasters. So again, like, no particular shade, it's just wasn't what we wanted.
Yeah.
So we ended up tapping fairly early on that.
Yeah.
Ugh. I now have the hiccups. It's fine.
You had one hiccup. That is not the hiccups.
I had 2 hiccups, actually.
It's still not hiccups. Sorry, I have resentment of this because he gets like one-off hiccups and I get these like 20-minute hiccuping spells and he freaking complains all the time.
Well, my hiccups tend to be like one giant hiccup. It's really weird.
Well, like, yeah, you did that in front of Bridget and JP one time, and they just like looked at you with like this immense amount of concern. Like, he just does that. It's fine.
Yep, it's great. So what was next?
After that, we pivoted. This was your suggestion, and I actually thought it was a good one. We did Floor Wars.
Yes, we went to go watch Floor Wars.
So it hadn't started, but they'd opened the doors by the time we got there.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't aware of what was going on generally, but this is when I discovered they actually did have accessibility seating. They said they were going to, And they actually did, which is really nice.
Yep.
It was the first 2 rows on the right side. I will say it did kind of shift to different places over the weekend.
Yes, it kind of bounced around the space, but generally speaking, I think they were trying to put it in wherever the best place for the particular event was.
Yes.
So Floor Wars is it's a dance-off competition, basically. Bracket style, you pair up, one person does, some kind of dancing, then the other person does some kind of dancing, then you get a new track, first person goes again, second person goes again, and then there is a panel of 3 judges that basically says, this person won, that person won.
Yep.
It's quite fast, it's
done out of dance battles. I've seen this done, not because I'm not cool enough to do anything based on dance battles, but Dance Academy, which is an Australian children's TV series that I'm obsessed with, has this in it, which is how I know about it.
Of course it is.
Dance Academy is great.
But
I've seen it like 5 times.
Yeah. So we've not really
we don't tend to do the dance competitions, in part because, one, a lot of them don't have accessible seating, and therefore I kind of can't see and I'm really claustrophobic. This one did.
Yeah.
I will say Floor Wars tend to be a little bit less crowded than their main dance competition too, which I also appreciate. And I actually do think I prefer Floor Wars generally as a format, like as a spectator, to their dance competition, just because it's quick, it's fast paced, you get to watch dancers face off, and as somebody who knows nothing about dance, you get to kind of form your own opinions. And they also seem to have more lax rules. I've not checked their website for the exact rules. I do know for most fursuit dance competitions, you actually do have to be in a fursuit to participate.
Yeah.
And generally what's considered a fursuit for purposes of a dance competition is a head, paws, and feet.
Yes.
This did not seem to have that rule or regulation. You could wear a fursuit, but a lot of people were just, like, in clothes.
Yes.
Which is fine. So it meant that, like, I think people who weren't fursuiters could also participate in some form of dance competition.
Yeah.
They did have prelims earlier in the day, which were closed to participants.
Yes.
Or were closed to
close to the public.
Yes, generally. Like, you could maybe come in if you were a handler or something, but other than that, you were just off to the side. And then the people who made it through the prelims made it to this. I don't know how many people there were initially, prelims versus not prelims.
Not a clue. And again, closed.
Another major difference, I think, between this and the dance competition is generally the dance competition is choreographed routines, whereas this is improvised dance.
Yes. You are going up against somebody. You are having fun. And there was some really good stuff.
Yeah, like all of these people, I want to be clear, were way better dancers than we
ever were. But again, like, everybody was having fun with it. The camaraderie was really good. Like, half of the matches ended with a hug.
Yep.
And the ones that didn't, ended with, a lot of respect and, handshakes and that kind of stuff. Like, the camaraderie at this event was fantastic.
Yep. It was very fun to watch and see.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just judged by pointing. But I think runner-up got a general admission badge, and the winner got a sponsored tier badge.
Yep, for next year.
Yeah, for next year, not this year, obviously.
Yep. And I do get the impression that so I know one of the judges this year was the winner last year, and I'm curious I suspect that's probably standard policy.
Yeah.
I suspect if you win one year, next year they'll invite you to be one of the judges, which I think that's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah. It's a good way to make sure that somebody's not sweeping the competition every year, and it's a good way to, get fresh people in there. Yep. And I will say all the people who are the judges and generally emceeing do, because they give the dancers a break in between each round of contestants, just to, give them a chance to breathe, particularly during later rounds where they're going back to back.
Yeah.
And they let the judges and people do their own dances, which they can have fun with.
Just kind of show off, but again, it's very clear that's primarily to give the people who've just been dancing a breather if they need it.
Well, it also gives people a chance to show off, which I think is fun. Yeah, very clear camaraderie, very big fun. Person behind us kept shouting, "Give it to them both" a bunch, which was great. And yeah, I like this a lot. Way more than I expected to, if I was honest. I think we mostly went in here just to sit down.
Yeah, but again, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
And I will say accessible seating does make dance competitions a lot more accessible to me, because that's just not something I would be able to do without accessible seating. So I appreciated that they had this.
Yes.
So after that, we went to a panel that Sigma does.
Yes. What's it officially called? Peer support?
It's called peer support.
Peer support.
So we've seen this done by Sigma a couple times.
We caught the end of it at
Anthro,
Ohio
Ohio.
2 years ago.
Yes.
Whereas this time we actually got there for the whole thing. Sigma did end up starting slightly late just because they had a panel right before it.
Yep.
That was on the floor below. I think no, it wasn't, but they did.
It was in a different panel room.
Was in a different panel.
And both of these I think, are very psychologically intense panels. So I was very impressed with Sigma for running them back to back.
Oh yeah.
The panel before was the trans experience, talking about the experience of being trans, and I think some of the more difficult questions trans people have to answer. Neither of us are trans, so I do not feel comfortable talking any more about the topic than that. But I know that it can be quite difficult for trans people to talk about. So.
Yes. And again, we do have trans friends of one sort of or another.
Yeah.
We are as supportive as we can be without having been through any of that stuff personally.
Yeah, and that panel does some very interesting, but as non-trans individuals, we want to give trans people their space to have conversations about the trans experience without having to worry about cis people in the room. So.
Yes.
We did go to peer support because anyone can go to that.
Yep.
This is basically a panel where you're talking through mental health and issues and struggles generally. Sigma, I think, does a really good job of sharing their own personal struggles to begin with a lot of the time, which are intense, but do give people I think, because they're so open about it, that gives the other people a chance to be open about it.
Yeah.
And they have a very good way of going about it. You can raise your hand, or you can also contribute anonymously if you're not feeling comfortable talking about it.
And there were some technical issues with this one, which was just the projector was not cooperating. So they asked me if I'd minded running around the room with their laptop with the QR code up on it, so people who wanted to submit anonymously could scan that QR code.
Yeah.
Which again, I did not have a problem doing that.
Yeah, and at one point I think I had to assist just because there was a question about a psychological disorder that I knew something about as a bioethicist that I don't think anyone else in the room did. So I explained what you should do in that situation, and I'm purposely being vague because it's kind of a closed doors thing, so we can't really talk more about it other than to say that it's a chance to talk about mental health issues or questions you might have surrounding mental health. We want to be very respectful to the people who share.
And honestly, my only criticism of this panel is I think it probably needed an hour and a half time slot rather than an hour, just because towards the end there was a certain amount of having to hurry through things to make sure that everybody who needed to be heard could be heard. And Sigma was very respectful, did a very good job, but was definitely pushed for time at the end.
Yeah. But I do think it helped a lot of people.
I do think so too.
And I do appreciate that they were doing this. I know that they said that they were going to stop doing trans experience after this year because they feel like they transitioned. It's been long enough since their transition, and they want to pass it on to somebody who's newly been transitioned. I also thought at the end of this panel they were kind of sort of saying that they wanted to pass this one on to other people as well.
Yep.
Which I can understand. It's a very intense panel.
It's an intense panel.
But I'm not 100% sure if that's what they were saying, just because at that point I think they were kind of rushing a bit just because we had to clear out the room for the next group.
Yes. So again, we'll see. It is a very good panel.
And I will say Sigma does 100% because they were up against time. They will 100% talk to you if you need to talk to them. They're very good about that.
Yeah. They are aggressively supportive is probably the best way to phrase it.
And they do a great job making you feel like you can 100% talk to them, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, you were crying. That I will share. But...
Yeah. Again, I have very strong motor neurons, mirror neurons. Again, it's a good panel to have.
It's very good. I think both of us went into it intending that we weren't probably going to say terribly much, but it is nice to just kind of be there and support others who are going through difficult times.
And I had the classic problem of one of the anonymous questions. With hindsight, I actually had a good thing to say about it, but I didn't think of it until 5 minutes after, and we kind of moved on at that point. And I felt a bit bad. Which again is that's always the way with something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, but it was a very good panel.
Yeah.
And I do honestly recommend this panel if you are struggling and just need kind of a voice for a few minutes. It's a great place to be.
Yes.
I really should just keep the light on. That's probably a thing.
Yep.
Did we do anything after that? I think we headed home pretty early.
No, we didn't.
Okay. Oh yeah, we did not. Yeah, I forgot about that. That was in main events.
Yeah. I'm trying to think
Yeah.
if we did anything before that.
We didn't, because that ended at around 8. I think we talked to Sigma for a few minutes, and then we went down for this. Okay.
You ready to talk about this?
Yeah, I'm annoyed that we missed Sigma's late night shenanigans panel because of this.
Yeah, let's talk about bingo.
Okay.
So, one of the things that this con does to raise money for the charity is bingo after dark.
Yes.
And, the way it basically works is for turning up to the event, you get a bingo card.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to, you can spend money for the charity to get more bingo cards. They then proceed to play bingo, and people win prizes. And
there are a lot of prizes.
They had a lot of prizes.
And I will say for the first 2 bingo, or like, if you just want a bingo card, it's entirely free, and you can get free stuff. And that's pretty cool.
Yes. And that is a quote-unquote basic card.
Mm-hmm.
If you spend, is it $20?
You can spend $20 for a premium card, and I think you can spend $10 additional to just get another regular bingo card.
Yeah. And they have the prizes broken up into different sections for like basic prizes and premium prizes.
Mm-hmm.
They also had not safe for work prizes. And one thing I will credit them on, all of the not safe for work prizes were behind a screen, so you couldn't see them unless you actively wanted to. That's a good decision.
Mm-hmm.
That is actively a good call. Because again, like, yes, it's an 18 plus con, but not everybody wants to see
18 plus stuff.
18 plus stuff. Like, I know they had some donations from Bad Dragon. If you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But so we know that in previous years this event has started quite late.
Yeah, this is our second time it's attending MFC.
Yep.
It's the first time trying bingo, and I will say the primary reason we tried it is just because people were hyping it up all day.
Yes, people were talking about how awesome it was.
Yeah, I'm like, well, we're con reviewers. That's our job. We are journalists. You hate it when I call us journalists.
It feels like a moniker we haven't necessarily earned, but you know.
Well, we have to cover this event. That was my thinking. Let's cover this event, and my hope was that we could stay for about 30 minutes, then sneak off to Sigma's panel. That's honestly what I wanted to do.
Sigma's panel was at 8:30.
It was at 10:30.
10:30. Yeah. So they had a hour time block before bingo started that was to
picking up bingo cards.
Pick up bingo cards. So that was, you could grab the free one, and you could also buy additional ones. And they basically had a line for people who wanted to pick up their free one. And once you picked up your free one, you could go and stand in a second line to buy more, because they wanted to make sure everybody who wanted a free one could get one. The one thing I will say on the positive side, you can't stand in lines.
Yep.
So you left me with your badge and your disability wristband. And when I basically got to the front of the line and said, "Hey, can I get a second card for my wife who has accessibility issues and wasn't able to stand in the line?" They didn't blink.
Yep.
They handed me a second card and a second pen. Great. Like, thank you for that. That was well handled.
I will also say that it would be nice to have accessibility lines, just because some people can't wait in line in addition to needing seating. So having something like that would have been useful.
Yeah.
But I also don't know if they had that because I wasn't even over in that area.
Yeah,
so.
I didn't see anything like that, but the line was already pretty long. Like, again, we got card number 300 something and 300 something plus one.
And yeah, we know that there was 500 cards total. So for just people who were picking up the free bingo cards.
I think they might have ended up doing more than that.
Yeah, probably. That's just the number I heard, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So that was done, I think, about 9:30, just people picking up the free bingo cards.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
The free line was still going at least 9:45.
Okay, and so they had people pick up the free bingo cards, and they told everyone to buy bingo cards to wait off to the side. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
And then somewhere along the way, they started also selling the cards.
Yeah.
While I think they were still handing out free ones, because I think they realized the line for the purchasable ones was also getting pretty dang long.
Yep.
So they did open the doors at 10, which is when the event was supposed to start. So we went in, got some seats. Once again, we used your accessibility thing to get in fairly quickly, which again, they were really good all weekend with the accessibility stuff. Like if you had a wristband or a lanyard, you could get into places and just kind of skip the lines. Great, love it. Well done. Good job.
Yes, and they had the seating. I will say did change, but it was always very clearly labeled.
Yes. And they changed the setup of the room so that there were chairs and tables, so that you had somewhere to put your bingo card.
Yep.
Good decision. That actually I think worked. But yeah, so the room was pretty full by like 10:10. And you and I were looking at each other going, what are the odds of this starting anywhere close to time?
Yep.
And I was like, it's going to be like slow, like maybe 15:15. I think they'll probably start by 15:15. I was half right.
They did start by 15:15.
Yeah.
An hour 11.
The next hour.
Yeah. So they made an announcement around 10:30. They were still selling bingo cards, and they said at that point, without like much degree of apology, that like last year they started an hour and a half after they were supposed to, and that was with way less people. And what was the look on my face at that point?
The look on both of our faces were, are you kidding us?
Yeah.
Like that's not okay.
It's really not.
Like, I get that and here's the thing, the hour beforehand for the bingo cards was very clearly intended to fix that problem. Yeah, it didn't fix the problem.
No, that was the amount of time it took to distribute free bingo cards. People were buying the premium ones, which I want to emphasize are making money for the charity. I get why they're selling them for the second part of that hour, generally. Yeah. And that part, I honestly did have thought we should just walk and go to Stigma's panel, and I wish we had done that. Yeah.
Because, it got to 11 o'clock, so an hour after things were supposed to start, when they actually started what amounted to their pre-show.
Yeah, which was a brief drag performance. It was cute. Them announcing the charity and going through stuff and going over the bingo rules and explaining the regular prizes and the premium prizes, which would have been fine had they started at 10.
Yeah.
But by that point, I was just like, can you just actually call the numbers? I do not care about any of this.
Yeah, like I was almost to the point of chanting, why are we waiting?
You were chanting that just quietly.
Yeah, I was just doing it. For anybody who's not British, if it gets to the point where a crowd of British people is chanting that out, you done messed up.
Yeah, British people don't like poking the bear. So if they are poking the bear, you've messed up. Yep.
Again, that's a football chant, technically. And they only tend to break that one out if the game has been real delayed.
Yeah. So it was about 11:15 by the time they pulled the first ball for the first thing.
Yep.
And we left at about 11:45 because we were just done by that point.
Yeah.
Because in addition to this actually was fairly slow paced, despite there being about 400 prizes, according to them.
Yeah, they were basically getting about 7 winners, and then clearing the boards and starting over, which, again, if you'd started on time, that would have been fine, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah. We were not the first people to leave. I want to emphasize that, too. Like, there was a bunch of people walking out at the same time we were.
Yeah.
I think we're just kind of over it.
At about 10:30, the room was completely full. By the time we left at 11:45, the room was half empty.
Yeah.
And
and we were not the only people who complained about this.
No.
You overheard quite a few people doing it.
And the thing is, so I don't know if to me, there's a very obvious fix, and I don't know if they've tried this in the past and it's just
not worked.
Just not worked. But to me, the obvious fix is just sell the premium ones throughout the day.
Yeah.
Like, give out the free ones at the door as people come in, and then sell the additional ones just throughout the day.
And then just have a cutoff of when the event starts for when you can buy.
Yeah. Have some place, whether it's con ops, whether it's just somewhere near main events, that's just like, here are the bingo cards for tonight. You can get them anytime you want throughout the day, up until like half an hour before the panel's supposed to start.
Yeah.
Announce that at main events, announce that at opening ceremonies. Have a clear sign, like, give people the opportunity to just get those premium cards throughout the day, so that you're not slammed trying to dish them out right before the event starts, causing over an hour's delay.
Yeah, and I do understand this is an event where you're giving away a bunch of free stuff for charity. Like, it's otherwise an awesome event. It's just, it's a little bit disrespectful to expect people to wait for an hour and 15 minutes to do an event, because that's what you're paying for when you're paying for going to a con, is to spend your time enjoying the con, and you're effectively taking an hour of people's fun time away so that they can sit waiting for bingo cards, and that's not fair. And had we known that this was a recurrent problem, we wouldn't have even have tried to go to this panel.
No, we would have gone to Sigma's thing instead.
Yeah, quite easily.
I wish we'd done that.
I do too. It sounds like it was a ball.
Yeah. So yeah, like, I'm gonna be honest, we didn't end Friday on a good note.
No. Plus, then we found out that the doors that were supposed to go back to our parking garage were locked.
Yeah.
Because the building was just closed, and we had to go down a street that we weren't supposed to walk down.
Yeah.
We were just kind of in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Like, I will say it wasn't a catastrophically bad mood. Like, honestly, we were, like, I think worse at the start of the day than we were at the end of it. Just because we had some good things, but...
Yeah, we were more annoyed.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't having the anxiety. It's just that was the point where I think we really were just like, we were actively saying we would be having more fun if they were still in the previous venue.
Yeah. In fairness, the bingo, from what it sounded like, was as much of a problem at the previous venue, and less people could participate.
Yeah. So, like, I don't doubt they raised a crap ton of money for the charity.
But if this is your big moneymaker for charity, and I hope that it is, start it on time, because if this event started on time, and I knew it was, I would happily buy a premium bingo card. But as it is, I don't want to do that.
No.
Because, like, I would, like, the premium prizes look cool. Like, I would absolutely buy a bingo card next year if I knew the event would actually start on time. But I'm not willing to wait in a room for an hour and 15 minutes for that. I'm just not.
Like, it's a good job you had a book with you.
Oh, yeah, I was reading that for most of this.
Yeah. Like,
I think it was the only reason I was actually gone.
Yeah. Like, if you hadn't had a book with you, it would have...
Well, the first 30 minutes I was fine, and then somebody came out and made that announcement that the year before it took an hour and a half without even a flare of apology.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that is a huge red flag.
Yeah, that's a problem. Thank you, sir.
Like, it is one thing to have the reg line have problems because you have, like, badge printing and stuff like this, but this one just feels kind of solvable.
Yeah.
I don't really understand why it hasn't been solved.
Yeah. Like, I get that you want to sell a lot of, like, premium cards so that you can make a lot of money for the charity. Mm-hmm. I apologize for this background noise at the moment. This piece of road is apparently terrible.
Yep.
But, like, I get that desire, but at the same time, please respect your convention attendees' time.
At the very least, if you think this is going to be a problem, just make an announcement for when you'll start and just push it back to that time. Like, if you think it's going to take you an hour, just tell them it's going to take an hour and tell people they can come back in an hour.
Yeah.
And then just start it later. Yeah. That would be preferable.
Yeah. Now, granted, if they'd done that, we wouldn't have come back, but...
No, but because this is ultimately a timing issue generally, it is something for which you could make this time slot of purchasing badges or purchasing stuff longer or more involved. And in fairness, you probably, new venue, you're trying it in main events for the first time. I realize you could have easily overestimated a bunch of stuff. That said, based on the fact that this has happened 2 years in a row at least, this does seem like it's a recurring problem. Yeah. So I'm trying to compliment Sandwich this so we don't sound too mean.
I know, but, like, again, it wasn't a great way to end Friday.
It wasn't. It was a free event. There's a lot of other aspects of this con we like, though.
Yes. So, yeah.
So Saturday,
that was Friday.
Yeah. So we wound up getting back later than we anticipated because we thought we would be leaving at around 11, and we wound up leaving around midnight just of how long it took the event to get started.
Yep. So again, back to the Airbnb via Tasty's Burger.
Mm-hmm.
I got the Mac Attack, which is a burger with mac and cheese, with deep fried mac and cheese on top of it. I was also getting like I think I had the coleslaw barbecue fries.
Nice.
Yeah, and some onion rings. I was hungry. But yeah.
So yeah, we slept in a bit in the morning just because there wasn't anything till midday we really wanted to do, which I think we both needed at that point.
We needed again, especially after going until midnight, we needed a bit of a lie-in.
Yeah.
So I think it was around think it was like 8-ish when I got up, which is pretty late for me.
Yeah, and I think I got up till 9-ish.
Yeah.
So. And then you went to the CVS to get like some of the supplies we were missing.
Yep.
And I kind of chilled on there, and then I did my elaborate butterfly makeup, which takes forever.
Yep.
So I was doing my monarch dress.
Yep.
Which is one of my favorites, especially for furry cons.
Yeah. And again, I was doing my like vaguely steampunky coat and look.
I still maintain this is a couple's cosplay.
Yes, you're of the opinion that what I need to do is get a honking big Union Jack to carry around so we can be the British monarchy.
Yes. Or the English monarchy.
Yeah, hardy. Yeah, trouble is I refuse to walk around with a cross of St. George.
Why?
Because the only people who do that in the UK are goddamn racists.
Yeah,
like
fair.
if you see a Union Jack, it's probably okay. If you see an England flag and there isn't a major sports tournament, congratulations, you're looking at a racist.
Yes, but you're wearing it for okay, whatever. I get it. I would not wear a Confederate flag anywhere.
There you go. So yeah, like again, people fly. If there's if the World Cup is on, yeah, that's probably just a football fan. Any other time of year, any other time, stay away from that person. This is just advice if any of you ever visit the UK. And if you are from the UK and you're actually listening to this, thanks, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me I'm right. Or wrong. You can't disagree with me.
But then we know you're racist.
Yeah. So yeah. Was it Whose Line?
Yeah, I think it was Whose Line was the first thing we did.
Yeah. So again, the first thing we technically did was we bumped into some people.
Yeah. So yeah, we mostly spent our time hanging out with the people who were running Whose Line.
Yep. Which was nice actually.
Yeah.
Like after the previous night, we needed a bit of a reset.
Yeah.
And bumping into these people on the way through. Actually, hilariously, it was your wig that caused the problem because you've just got a new version of the grey wig that goes with the butterfly dress.
And I think it was helpful that the person in front of us was looking for toenail clippers the night before, so we're like, hey, we can just ask people.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a new wig for the butterfly dress, which desperately needed because the old one was definitely worse for wear by this point.
Yep.
And we noticed there was a tag in it. We were like, we needed clippers to get the tag off.
Yep. So we happened to spot somebody we know and was like, hey.
I think we can say their name.
Yeah, we can say Yabe.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, Yabe, do you have like scissors of some sort? And they're like, let me check.
Yep.
Like rifling through their bag to find some scissors, and they did in fact find some for us. But it basically meant we could just like have a nice conversation and like chat. And...
Yeah, we talked to Yabe, Sigma, a couple other people at the table who I don't know well enough to like know if they're comfortable with us saying their names.
Yep.
So.
But again, like that was a good reset. We needed that. And the next panel was Whose Line?
Yep.
And we got like slightly roped into helping.
We were mostly recording.
Yes, insofar as Sigma wanted a recording of it.
Mm-hmm. This was, I think, their first time running Whose Line by themselves with the rest of the crew here. So they did a great job.
They did a fantastic job. Like we love the Whose Line at FurCons. So we've seen Whose Line panels done at various conventions.
It's also called Whose Lion.
Yeah, it's called Whose Lion here.
Furries.
Yep. And we've commented in the past that there are two ways to do a Whose Line Is It Anyway panel. One of which is you just have a comedy troupe doing it, and one of which is audience participation. Of the two, we vastly prefer audience participation. Just because the audience is going to come up with some unhinged stuff.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, we tend to prefer audience participation. FurCons will frequently do both versions. They'll do audience participation on one day and charity Whose Line, which is the just the regular comedy troupe.
Yep.
They weren't doing that version of this one just because I don't think they had
enough people.
Yep.
Like we got roped into doing that, I think, at IFC. But we did Iggy's version of it, which wasn't charity. It was long form.
Iggy really likes long form improv.
And we're happy to help with that whenever we can. We are, like, we're pretty experienced in improv at this point, but we're definitely not a name draw. So I do get that, like,
that's fine.
No one's going to, like, pay money to see us. And that's absolutely fine. But we are happy to help.
We are always happy to help. Like, and again, we do love doing, like, silly improv-y stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in this particular one, I ended up recording the panel for them.
Yeah, so we took a back seat and just kind of let other people participate, which I thought was fun.
Yep.
That Sigma did a great job of running it. There's some great jokes, some of which we're still quoting, so excellent job.
And again, like it's also really nice to see. One of the things that the FurCons really do love doing is celebrating each other.
Yep.
Which means, especially with some of the games like Scenes from a Hat and World's Worst, which are like single line games,
Yep.
you come up, you say one joke, you step back, they can get a lot of people from the audience. They've usually got like 10 to 15 people from the audience, which means it's really, really good for somebody who's not done a lot of improv and wants to just kind of like try their hand at it. Because, if you do a joke and it doesn't land, oh well, it was one joke. Who cares? So those are really good for like people just getting started. And like you and I did basically that at Anthro, Ohio, like a couple of years ago, and we've gone on to do a lot more like improv-y stuff at cons ever since.
Yeah.
So that's always nice to see.
Yeah.
And Sigma did a great job running this.
He did. Or they
did.
Sorry. We've been good about that as much as we can.
We've been mostly good about
that.
Again.
We appreciate them for being patient with us and their pronouns.
Again, our attitude to pronouns is we will always try to get them right. We will occasionally cock up, and when that happens, we apologize.
Yes, and that wasn't meant to be like a joke about your... In fairness, I know they're fine with jokes like that.
Yes. We're not talking about that joke. Not yet, anyway. But, so, this was, as always, an absolute blast.
Yep.
Like, I was recording the entire thing. There's at least a couple of points where the recording gets pretty wobbly just because I was laughing.
Yep.
And trying not to, like,
other people were also recording, so there'll be multiple angles. I will say your angle was pretty intimate just because you were getting Yabe and Joe, who I think will also be fine with the saying his name.
Joe Wolf?
Yeah, Joe Wolf. You're getting, like, you were getting shots of them on the side occasionally just doing funny stuff, so... Because we were sitting next to them and they were helping with some of the games.
Yeah. Like family photo.
Yep.
So again, this was a great time.
Mm-hmm.
We love this panel to bits.
Sigma has the thing I love about Sigma, and Alkali has the same thing, is just they're such an authentic person generally, and their authenticity helps make people comfortable on stage in a way that I think is just great, and it really came through here.
Yes. And just a constant desire to like hype people up and like make them comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, the goal of this panel really is to get people comfortable being on stage and like being themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it does a very good job of that.
Yeah.
While also making the audience laugh their asses.
There was a reason when they asked what people's favorite panel was during the auction. People said this panel.
I heard multiple people shout whose line.
Yeah. So, and Sigma should be really proud of running this by themselves, because it's hard to run by themselves. They were getting a couple help from the convention staff just when it came to picking people.
Yes.
They did a great job running it.
Yeah, especially for the line games, it does help if you've got
somebody else just to manage giving people microphones.
Yeah. Because, again, you kind of need a microphone, and it's not like they can give every participant one because they don't have enough. So, somebody basically has to go, you got one? Okay, here's the mic. Which is fine. Like, that worked out pretty well for the most part. So, what did we do after that? I think there was another break at that point.
There was another break. We definitely did hang out with the people who were helping out the panel with for a little bit, both before and after this, which was actually quite nice.
Yes.
Bam,
while she checks the schedule.
Yep. Oh, I think it's technically called Bull Shep, although it was mislabeled Bull Whip in the schedule.
Yes. This is...
Oh, wait, that's way later.
Yeah, I thought that was later.
Sorry, I was mixing it. Part of it's because I do like that they have it separated into different things. We stayed for Jackbox game time.
Yes, we did.
So we actually did have to clear the room for this because for whatever reason, they had the tables set up from last night at the Whose Line panel still from Bingo.
Mm-hmm.
So there were still tables everywhere when Whose Line was going on. And I think they wanted them cleared for the dance competition, but they had Jackbox between this. I don't know why they picked this exact time slot. I think it was just when they had enough volunteers to do it, and cons are volunteer run. So they wanted people out of the room for them clearing tables, generally.
Which was fine.
Yeah.
Like, as we've said before, we generally don't like it when cons clear rooms in between events.
Yeah. Unless
they've got a specific logistical reason for doing it. And rejiggering all of the chairs, that's a legitimate reason to clear the room.
Yeah.
we generally prefer when just con spaces like that are just open throughout the weekend. But if you're moving a bunch of tables around, you can't really do that while the room's still full of people.
Yeah.
So fair enough. What are you complaining about, car? I'm in the middle of this lane. Stop whinging at me. Anyway.
So yeah, Jackbox is something that we find very hit or miss. Shut up, car. You're going 69 miles an hour. What more does it want?
I don't know. Also nice.
Nice.
Anyway. But yeah. So Jackbox games can be a little hit and miss at cons, as you were saying, because there are some Jackbox games that work pretty well with a large audience, because the audience members are still largely playing.
Yeah.
There are some that, if you're in the audience, kind of suck.
Yeah. And I will say the group who was doing this was trying to get it right. It was also helping that they, I think for part of it, were sitting behind us, so I could hear them talking about what games were working and what games weren't working, and actively trying to do a good job managing the games.
Yep.
Which was really awesome.
So yeah, like they started with Trivia Murder Party. That's one that works for the entire audience because everybody gets to answer the questions.
Yeah. And they also moved the accessibility seating so it was back near where the games were. So if you had visual things where you would need to see the screen, because the screens run on both sides of the stage, they had accessible seating right next to the screen for people with visual disabilities who need to sit closer. Which
that was great.
Really smart.
Yep. Again, the accessibility seating of this convention was not in a consistent place, but it was always
in a place that made sense, and it was clearly labeled.
Yes.
And if you asked anyone if you needed accessibility seating, everyone in the room knew where it was.
Yes. And frequently, if they saw you had one of the accessibility things on your way in, they would be actively saying, accessibility seating's like on the left, it's on the right, like that away. Right. It's very clear they've been making a significant effort this year to do a good job with the accessibility stuff, and I think for the most part they've done a very good job.
Yeah.
Like, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
But it was pretty dang good. Like,
there were a couple minor mistakes. I think they were urging us out of the room at the end of this panel for resetting for the dance competition. I think that's mostly because they just had problems with people sitting in the room for the dance competition. But we were fairly obviously in accessibility seating, and we were dealing with issues with me getting up at that point.
Yeah.
So, and it had been less than 5 minutes, and they had told us twice, in fairness, from the back of the room, and I don't think they were just talking to us. That I was a teensy bit annoyed about, but I do understand why they were doing it, because I know that they have problems with people trying to sneak into the dance competition early.
Yeah.
So
again, that was relatively minor.
It was minor, and it wasn't targeted at me. I was just like, I'm going as fast as I can.
Yeah, because one of the things generally we try and do is, if there are a lot of people leaving the room, we will usually let them leave and then go.
Which is what we're trying to do there. And then there was an issue with getting stuff back into my bag that we were trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Because of the plushie bag and stuff, I was trying to get it managed. So we're trying to figure out how to get the plushies in without them falling out.
Yeah.
Which, yes, we could have done outside, but it would have been more stressful.
Yes, it was much easier to do it there. And again, we were waiting for the rest of the room to mostly clear, so that it would be easier for us to leave.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a major thing or anything.
It was not major. I'm not really upset about it. And it was the AV team who probably weren't trained in where the accessibility seating was. So
yeah.
And in fairness, I'm not blaming the AV. The AV team, I want to emphasize, is fantastic.
Oh, the AV team was doing great work all weekend.
I'm not just saying that because eventually I will have a microphone in my face, and I don't want you to mess with me.
Yeah.
That is part of the reason why I'm saying it.
They'll mess with you just because that's what AV's job is.
Yeah. So let's go back to Jackbox.
Yes. So They did a very good job of picking games that the entire audience was participating in.
Yeah.
So after Trivia Murder Party, it was bracketeering.
Bracketeering takes 16 people, which is great.
That's great.
We both actually got in for this one.
We both actually got it. Yeah, we don't normally, because we're not normally that quick off the mark.
Yeah. Which I do think is also another thing that accessible seating does help with. I will say Jackbox games are always going to be inaccessible to some people if you just have it be fastest fingers first.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also probably, particularly if you have this many people, recommend to them, if they want feedback, to implement a rule being like, once you've played in one game, that's it. You only get to play in one game because it's a 2.5-hour time slot, and there's 50 people in the room, so making sure everyone gets to play in one game as an actual participant, I think is fairer.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Which is what we tried to respect.
Yes.
Because we both got into bracketeering, and then we didn't play as, participants.
Yeah, we were in the audience for the other games. If you're not familiar with Jackbox games, basically, pretty much all of them have a set number of players, which varies depending on which game it is, and then anybody else who has the room code is free to join the audience.
Yeah.
And depending on the game, the audience has more or less to do.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, with Trivia Murder Party, you can still answer the questions. It's just it goes to a collective audience score as opposed to your own score.
Yeah, it goes to audience. Basically, whether or not you get it right is based on percentage of the audience that gets the right answer, as opposed to just that one person.
And bracketeering one takes 16 people, and then it's what it sounds like. They give you like a prompt, and then you put the answers into brackets, and you decide which one wins. And most of the game is just voting, so the audience members' vote counts as much as the actual players' votes.
Yeah,
which is fun.
Yeah.
I was also proud of that both of us won a round for that one.
Yeah,
so.
you won the first round.
Yeah, for what is the best trivia team name? I think I wrote "We are literally 3 years old," which the furries liked a lot.
Yeah, and the second one was like, it was give a piece of advice. So I wrote, "Hydrate, you dumb bitch," because I started off just with hydrate, and then I looked at it and went, "No, I need to furry this up more."
Yeah.
So I added the insult, and then in the second round you get a broad category, and then they tell you what the actual prompt is after you've answered. So it was last line of a romance novel. Which so we both ended up winning a round,
which is satisfying.
It's very fun. And then
last one was a color, which Penis Pink won, obviously.
Yeah.
Right, I think Rocket Red actually won.
Rocket Red actually won, just because the final thing
was what's the best popsicle flavor.
Yeah, because the third round changes each pairing what the actual question is. So yeah, it was fun. What were the other two games?
They did Survive the Internet, which I heard them discussing was maybe a less great game for a larger group because the audience doesn't have as much participation in that one. But I do think some people in the audience were requesting it, so they agreed to do it. And I think they said they would 86 it on the docket for next time. I also heard them talking about how they could mess with the timers to make sure the games were going a little bit quicker. So I appreciate all the thought the people behind us were putting into making this a really good event.
Yes, again, we've seen Jackbox panels done at cons and done badly. This was probably amongst the best versions of it I've seen. As I think my only real suggestion for them would be, make implement a rule at the start that basically says if you've got into play a game, don't try and get into play another game.
Yeah.
Just because you
because
you want to give as many people as possible the opportunity to play games.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was at IFC or something like that, but they had 2 rounds, or IFC, I think, was the one where they had Jackbox just for 3 hours, and we were in that room for the entire 3-hour period just because there was nothing else in that time block. And there were people who played 5 games. We never even got to play 1 game.
Yeah.
Because they weren't making sure that people who weren't as quick with their phones or had older phones could get in.
Yep.
So rules like that I think would be helpful.
Yes.
But I think it helped to have the accessibility sitting closer because I think that's the only reason we actually got in.
Yeah, I think so.
Because we were closer to where the actual thing was.
Yeah, we were basically close enough to see the thing before it got read out to the room.
Yeah.
So yeah. And again, after we got into one game, we very deliberately
stopped
trying to become players, and were quite happy just being in the audience for the rest. So yeah.
So they did Survive the Internet, and then they'd Split the Room. Split the Room, I think, is also a fairly decent audience participation game. You don't get to write your own prompts, but you get to. It's another game where voting's most of the game, so it's fun for the audience to play.
Yeah.
But Bracketeering, I maintain, is the best audience participation game.
I think so, just because, again, it takes a lot of people.
Yeah, Bracketeering, Trivia Murder Party, I think both are excellent. If you're doing a Jackbox game in the con, both of those are games that should just be standard fare.
Yes.
They're easy to play from the audience. The audience can sway votes. It's fun.
Yes.
The audience was literally chanting for our answers at part of it, and that was just a great feeling.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, at one point I heard a 3 years old, 3 years old. Yeah. Another hour just hydrate.
Yeah, it was very fun.
So yeah, a lot of fun. And again, as I say, of the Jackbox panels we've seen at cons, we've seen many. This was probably one of the best. So good job. Was that when we went to the bullshit panel?
No, that was Question This after that.
Then it was Question This, yeah. So Question This is another one of Sigma's panels, and this is one we knew we were helping with.
Yeah, and I think Iggy originally did this, and Sigma's taken it over. Although I'm not entirely sure. It mostly just sounds like a concept that Iggy would come up with. And I know he's helped with it before. But I'm not 100% sure on that. But Sigma definitely has current, I think,
ownership of it.
Yeah, I don't want to say ownership because I don't know how comfortable they feel with other people doing it, but they're the ones who are currently running it in the iterations I've seen.
Yes. So the basic premise of this panel is it's more improv comedy, but it's sort of based around Jeopardy.
Yep.
So in Jeopardy, you basically get given a topic for X number of points, then there is a question, then you give the answer. This works sort of the same way, except the way it works is the panelist will give a topic. The audience will then say what the answer is.
Yep.
And then the panel comes up with the funniest question they can.
Yeah, so like Doom, I think, was one.
Doom was one.
Yeah, what is the feeling I think mine was like, what is the feeling you all felt when I told you that my students thought that Mark Twain would Huckleberry Finn in 2002 or something?
Yeah.
Like one was 2000s. I was like, when was the last time you fed your Neopet? I think you did a couple. And yeah, we were panelists on this, in case you couldn't tell, because Sigma has asked us to be panelists before. They asked us at this con to be panelists on it, and I was obviously like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is the exact type of wordplay game that I adore, so I will be a panelist on it anytime I am asked.
Yep.
And this has an interesting format because you have, I think, in this case, 3 main panelists. 3.5 main panelists.
3.5. Yabe was one of them, but Yabe had their security shift right after this panel ended. So they basically said they would be there if they could.
Yep.
And if they made it, they would probably need to skip out with 15 minutes left to the panel just so they could get to where they needed to be for their security shift, which is pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
That was fine. Again, that was clearly communicated beforehand. It worked great.
So,
and I believe Joe Wolf was also one of the panelists on this one. Yeah,
they were. So how this basically worked is there would be the 3/4 of us up there, and then they would pull 1 or 2 people from the audience, which I think works really well because it lets audience members participate if they are able. And a couple times, because this happens, I think, a lot in the panel, where people will have an answer and then draw a blank, it can go to somebody else who knows what they want to say a lot of the time for the panel, generally.
Yeah. And again, there were a couple of absolutely killer jokes.
Yep.
I freely admit one of my favorite ones, which I'm not actively going to repeat on this podcast, was one where there was a word for the audience that came up as the answer, and I was like, "Can I make this joke? I don't know if I can get away with making this joke. Don't know if I know them well enough." Then Yabe made the joke. Yep. I was like, "Oh thank God, somebody said it! Yep. High five!"
There was one joke you made about, the word was master, and I think you said, what my wife won't let me call it. We were doing a lot of couples jokes.
We did a lot of couples jokes. I believe my line was, what's a thing I still haven't convinced my wife to call me?
Yep.
Which again, it got a good laugh.
It did. It was like your 3rd joke that round, too. I'm like, how did it take you that long?
I built up to it.
Yep. Yeah, we were definitely playing up our couple shit during this.
We always do. That's our one curse word.
Whatever. It's a +18 con.
It is, but it's a safe for work podcast.
Yep.
But yeah, so again, we love this panel.
We do.
It's very much an improv game, but it's a well-designed one. And the other thing that
crowd for this, by the way, fantastic. They came into the room ready to laugh. They were having fun.
Yeah.
All of the jokes were working.
Yes.
This was just a great crowd for this panel.
Yeah. The other thing that I will say for Sigma is the host of this knows how to make themselves the butt of the joke.
Yeah, they were doing a great job with that. They were leaving the room or hiding behind tables or pretending to be upset a lot of the time in a way that was really playing up the crowd.
Yeah. Which
of course led to the last round with the answer being Sigma, where everyone just complimented them.
Yeah, where it's just who deserves a hug? Who's a really nice person? Screw you guys.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah, I adore this panel. I love being a panelist on this panel. I hope we can continue to be, because this is improv that is just kind of my favorite form of improv.
Yeah. Again, ultimately, it's an improv game. It's just giving it...
But it's a wordplay improv game.
It is. And again, giving it the length of an entire panel, could this sustain an hour and a half? Maybe not. But an hour-long panel, yeah, this works.
It does.
And the one thing that Sigma does do is for the last round... roles are switched. So the audience who hasn't yet had the chance to be up on the stage giving the funny answers now has the opportunity to.
Mhm.
And that's good to see. Because that gives more people a chance to improv and have fun and just like make plain jokes.
Mhm.
It's great. You made a couple of puns that were like.
I got everyone to boo me.
Yeah,
that is the ultimate compliment as a pun artist.
What was the joke? I don't even remember what the.
It was from Master that round.
Oh god, that one, yeah.
And my answer was, "What do you need to climb a sail? Mast stairs." Somebody recommended that the next answer be tomato. It was great.
Yeah, bro. But anyway. But no, we love this panel event. It's great. And it's always an honor to be invited.
So after that, we went to Bull Shep, which was mislabeled as Bull Whip on the schedule.
Yes.
So Shep was the person running this, who is the, I think, head of the registration department, which means that they get cursed at a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Which is fair. Like, okay. One thing we have always said is registration is the worst job at a con. You are going to be working your ass off and you are not going to be appreciated.
Yep.
So.
And the people who take it on know that.
Yes. So, registration people, I want you to know we appreciate you.
We do.
We really do.
Yeah. We heard a variety of different instances about what the problems were this weekend generally. I try to be pretty patient, particularly with furry registrations, because part of the issues you guys run into that normal cons don't have is that you can't just give anyone any badge.
Yeah.
You have to give everyone specific badges because their names and personas are important, and that's hard.
Yep. You also need to ID check, which not a lot of cons need to do.
Yep.
We got ID checked last weekend, because last weekend was also a plus 18 con.
Yep.
But basically every fur con ID checks.
Yep. For
various reasons.
And I will say, both you, Anthrocon, who I know also can have Lyme problems, have been fantastic about disabilities generally. And that really means the world to me as somebody who I can't wait in lines and wouldn't be able to go to cons like Anthrocon if the furry community wasn't as good about disability as they are.
Yes.
And that means a ton to me.
I would agree. And yeah, the other thing that I will really note about Anthrocon and this con, like, you guys are really good at learning from your mistakes.
Yep.
Like, as we said, like, the first year we went to Anthrocon, the lines for registration were a mess. Last year, they were a hell of a lot better.
Yep.
And that's because they they looked at what went wrong and they were like, okay, how do we fix that?
Yeah. And I will say, for Anthrocon, Uncle Kage took responsibility for it. Shep took responsibility for this.
Yes. Yeah, he did. Like, he basically, later in the day, he was just like, yep, we know. We'll do better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here is what the problem was. We think we've got it fixed. Hopefully things will be better next year.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, I've always said, human beings are going to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Things
are going to go wrong. What matters isn't that the mistake happened. What matters is what you do to make it not happen again.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, this is a community I trust to actually fix things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, Bull Shep was a chaotic panel. I expected it to be.
Yes.
It's basically a panel where you ask Shep questions and then you get into debates about stuff, which kind of went in several different directions.
Went in like 9 different directions.
He told some stories about cons.
Yeah.
That was the thing. He gave us marriage advice, jokingly.
Yeah.
About you not having enthusiasm. That was the question I asked.
Yeah, I know. I keep telling you people, I'm British. They beat that out of you as a child.
There was some debate about food that was still going on for a while that happened.
Yeah, they got into the is a hot dog a sandwich debate.
Yeah.
You really hate the is this a sandwich question.
Look, I mean, if you've read Wittgenstein, you know that all linguistic games are just that, linguistic games. And in fairness, people know that they're games. Like, no one thinks there's an actual answer to the question, is a hot dog a sandwich? They understand that it's a linguistic game. It's just, if you do philosophy, you do so many linguistic games that you're just done with them in, like, any sense, no matter how facetious they are. So it's not a conversation I like.
So yeah. But again, like, this was fun. We ended up leaving before it was done.
This is just a me thing. Sometimes when what basically happened is we were having the food debate, and then some people were still talking in the back of the room, and Shep was trying to tell another story. And for me, if I get crosstalk from 2 different groups of people talking because my brain's trying to listen to both of them, I get migraine headaches. So
That's not on anybody in the room.
that's not on anyone in the room. I expected this panel to be chaotic. It was indeed chaotic. It was still fun. People were having fun talking to us, and if the room had been a little bit quieter, I would have stayed longer because everyone in the room seemed very game, and it was very fun. It was just, I was starting to get migraine headaches due to the crosstalk.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I don't necessarily think this panel even needs to be modified given what it is, which is just dumb stuff where people talk to each other.
Yep.
As that, it's great.
Yep.
And we did stay for about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yes.
So there's only 30 minutes left in the panel because they get an hour and a half time slot.
Yes. So yeah, like, again, fun panel. It's just, it started to, like, get to your crosstalk thing.
Yeah.
Which is why that was the point at which we went to just, like, walk through the venue a bit more.
Yeah, and that's when we saw something that was kind of not great.
Kind of not great, yeah. So, throughout the weekend on a couple of occasions...
And I want to emphasize, I do not think this was the con's fault.
No. We saw what was very clearly a girls' volleyball team wandering around.
And this is a plus 18 convention.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to emphasize, the issue is not with children interacting with furries.
Nope.
Furries and children know how to interact. There are plenty of cons that are family-friendly in the furry community.
Yeah. This ain't one of them.
Yeah.
This is an 18-plus event. It's very clear that it's an 18-plus event. And we noticed these, preteen to teenage volleyball players, like, hanging out in a couple of places that they probably shouldn't have been.
Yeah, they were kind of just running through spaces.
Yeah. But, like, we were like, okay, that's vaguely annoying, but, okay, fine. Like, they're not really supposed to be in this space, but it's technically public space. Like, there's not really much that can be done to stop them. This was the point at which we realized that there was partly a reason why they were there.
Yeah, so we thought the con had entirely rented out the 4th and 5th floors of this building, but it turns out they had rented out only most rooms on the 5th floor.
There were 2 rooms on floor 5 that the con didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And on that Saturday night, the girls' volleyball team had one of those rooms for some kind of dinner party thing.
Which was next to the furry age regression panel at the
Yeah.
school. And I want to emphasize that age regression isn't necessarily a sexual thing, although it can be, but it is very much an intimate thing that adults do that children should not be involved in.
Yeah.
At all. And it's very vulnerable for the adults that go through it, so it's not safe having those 2 groups of people together. It's just not.
It's not. So when we saw that, we were just like, oh, God. How the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
And I don't believe that was on the con.
No, I don't think they knew they were going to be there.
No, they did not.
Based on the fact that we told people about this later, and the con seemed surprised that was the case.
Yeah.
But that's not safe for anyone involved. It's just not.
No.
And it's not fair to anyone involved either.
Yeah, and we did also hear some stories that this group of teen girls had been kind of a problem for decent chunks of the weekend. Like, apparently at one point they were trying to get into the vendors hall.
Mm-hmm.
And their parents who were with them were acting like, yeah, go. You should look at this stuff. To which the security person was just like, well, no, you can't get in without a badge.
Yeah.
And I get the indication the parents were being a bit pushy about, like, trying to, tell them to go in anyway, despite what the security team was telling them.
And there was a plus 18 section. They did, I think, thankfully have the plus 18 section, like, carted off so people who didn't, because even adults who are plus 18 years old don't always want to see
the not safe for work stuff.
So they didn't have it in the back, but there wasn't anyone ID checking there, so kids could have gotten back there quite easily had people not stopped them. And I want to be clear, this was on the first step. They were doing everything in their power to stop them.
Yeah, like,
but they weren't.
As far as I know, nobody made it into the vendors hall who did not have a badge.
Yeah.
It's just the parents were actively, like, trying to get their kids into the vendors hall past the security staff, despite being told that, 1, you're only allowed in there if you've purchased a badge to the con, and 2, this is an 18-plus event. You're not allowed to buy a badge unless you're an adult.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's stuff that is on the responsibility of the parents and the kids to be there. But they were also just running through a space that was near, like, the balconies were fairly high, but there were people in fursuits, and these kids were just running around past them, like, literally running, in a way that didn't feel safe for me.
Yeah. So, yeah. Just certain lack of respect from these people.
Yeah, and I don't think it was necessarily either group's fault that the volleyball, like, sports dinner got placed next to the age regression panel, but like, I'm blaming the hotel for that one.
Yeah.
Just because that's really not fair to either of those groups. Because the other thing about age regression is for some people, when they're in an age regressed state, it's hard for them to get in and out of that state, and they shouldn't be interacting with children when they're in it, like actual children. Not that they would have to, but they shouldn't even have to worry about that.
They shouldn't have to worry about it. And again, like, it's not just the fact that it was right smack next to the age regression panel. It's just the fact that, like, again, this is an 18 plus con. There are things that you do at an 18 plus con that you don't do at a family friendly event. Like, as I said, I don't moderate my language at an 18 plus con the way I do at a family friendly event. It's getting kind of misty. Cool. But, like, so if I am in a space at an 18 plus con, I kind of assume that the entire con is going to be, a space where I don't have to worry about that. Like, yeah, granted, when I went down to, like, the third floor or the first floor that weren't part of the con space, I flipped the switch in my brain that turns my language moderation back on. Like, again, I used to work retail in a shop that frequently had kids in it. I know how to switch between, like, safe and not safe in that regard.
But it would be nice for, I think, particularly 18 plus events, because they did have some open spaces in this con generally, which is mostly where the kids were running around, which they referred to as the zoo, which was tables where people were talking. And I think it's great that they have these spaces, but it's hard to, like, self-moderate in those spaces when you expect those to be plus 18 spaces where you're effectively hanging out with your friends.
Yep.
And you might be talking about adult subjects that kids shouldn't be privy to, and they're just kind of running around the space.
Yep. So, yeah, that was not on the convention, but it was not good.
It was definitely not. And I generally tend to be, like, I tend to think that people overemphasize the amount of, when different groups are sharing spaces, I do tend to think that people tend to overplay, like, how much antagonism there is between different groups.
Yeah, like, a couple of years ago, one of the conventions we were at ended up sharing their space with a cheerleading convention.
Yeah, that was mostly just fine. Look at the costumes.
That was mostly just fine. Like, that basically resulted in, like, a lot of compliments going back and forth on a level of sparkly in various costumes.
Yeah.
That was fine.
And I know some people were complaining at Sengawa last weekend that they had shared the space, but I honestly didn't experience that many problems generally, so it's been hard for me to report on.
Yeah.
But generally, every time before this, when I've been at a con that shared a space with another group, the other group has been
fine,
either completely neutral or very positive.
Yeah. But again, it's mostly just, this was not a good situation for anybody involved. And we did, like, get some comments that, like, some of the the parents were apparently giving, like, the furries death glares while they were just, like, downstairs, waiting in line for food. And again, I don't, didn't happen to us, but who knows?
Well, this was one of those things where, like, when we left later, I did go with you to get the car as opposed to wait, just because I didn't want to wait in the lobby. Because I knew if I waited in the lobby, people would talk to me about the con. Because as somebody who's dressed elaborately but not in a fursuit, I'm generally labeled, like, a safe person to talk to about the furry community, which in ordinary circumstances, I'm happy to. Like, most often, what I will actually recommend people do is just go to the hotel bar and hang out with furries that way, because that's a great way to be introduced to them, at least if they're adults.
Yep.
And for kids, I just recommend that they go and ask people for hugs with consent and just tell them that sometimes men not want hugs.
Yep.
Both of which are great, but at this time I just didn't feel comfortable, like, socializing with anyone there. We also said they were doing a Valentine's Day dinner. And the people who were going to the Valentine's Day dinner, I think mostly just appreciated the costumes.
Yep. Yeah, so this was the point at which we just kind of, like, wandered around a bit, did a bunch of walking. Like, as I, this is when we went down to floor 1 and just kind of wandered around a bit and trying to actually vaguely understand the space. Still don't.
No. There was, like, a weird pop-up, which I found out later was a pop-up seafood restaurant.
It's weird.
Yeah, and there was a Valentine's Day dinner they were doing, and a few other people hanging around. But it was pretty crowded, generally, people who are not going to the con.
Yep. So again, walked around the space a bit, did a few loops, like, just commented on the sheer weirdness of a lot of the design choices, and then headed back up. What was the next?
Speed friending.
Speed friending. So we've done speed friending at cons before. The way this is usually set up is, like, it's speed dating to all intents and purposes, but just for making friends. So you have a brief conversation with people. It's usually a couple of minutes. Then you move on and you talk to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And you do this at lunch. So you meet a lot of new people, and then like throughout the rest of the weekend, you can frequently say hi to them. I'm going to be honest, scheduling wise, Saturday night is a weird time for a speed friending panel.
Yeah, I generally recommended you do it on Friday, maybe even Thursday, just because then the idea with speed friending I always thought is you like make some quick connections with people, then you see them later at a con. So if they're like sitting at a table later at a con, you can be like, hey, can I share your table? And you can like have those more deeper connections where it's a bit more natural a little bit later. This was popular though.
This was
extraordinarily popular.
This room was packed.
Yeah.
But it was also weird.
Yes.
So as I said, like that's how speed friending is normally done.
Mm-hmm.
This one, rather than that, you basically sat at a table. You could sit at whatever table you liked, and each table had like conversation topics suggested on.
Some of which I think worked, and some of which didn't, based on our limited time there. Like Two Truths and a Lie is always a great icebreaker conversation. I think one of them was like tell about your art, and not everyone had art, and it's kind of also had. Unless you're actually viewing somebody's art, it's kind of hard to have conversations about their art.
Yeah. But yeah, and then we were basically told that like after 10 minutes, we would rotate tables.
So like everyone at one table would move to another table.
Yeah.
Which I think they realized the room was too full to do that, so instead they switched.
They switched the prompts that were on the table, which was at least a sensible pivot. But it meant you were talking to the
same 5 or 6 people when there were 30-ish or more people in the room at any given time. Close to 50 probably.
There were a good 10 plus tables in that room. So yeah, we were probably north of 50.
Yeah.
But yeah, so which means it wasn't really speed friending. Like multiple people we heard commenting on the fact that they expected it to be a brief conversation with a lot of different people, as opposed to a long conversation just with a lot of different prompts.
Yeah.
And I want to clarify, like the people we met at that table were very nice, very lovely people. Nice. It's just
I think everyone came into the room with the anticipation that we'd meet like a lot of people briefly, and then maybe form some like connections with more of them later, or maybe like they would find like a really close connection with maybe one person in that room out of 30. Because friending is much like dating, where like most people I feel like can talk to 90% of people, but like finding that deeper connection with people sometimes takes some work and is not going to happen with everybody.
Yeah.
I think we could have found it at the table if we worked at it. It's just, I just wanted to meet a lot of people, and I think that was where everyone was at. So, but I do also get that like maybe this might have been a last minute decision just because of how full the room got, that it wasn't feasible for people to really move around when you had multiple people in fursuits and the room was at capacity.
I'm going to be honest, based on what they were saying. No, I think the plan was that everybody would like talk to the same people throughout the entire event, which is just kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't really know, but because they did that, I think we got kind of our social battery drained a little bit quicker, just because we weren't kind of meeting as many people generally. Although the people we met at our table were great. They
were great, but again, it was also a very full room, and your crosstalk thing was starting to go again.
Yeah. So we did a couple rounds of this, then we headed out after about 30 minutes.
Yeah. Which again, no offense meant to anybody who was at that table.
Yeah.
Like it was lovely meeting you folks. But
yeah, and I actually do think they tapped people, because I saw a bunch of people outside who I think couldn't even get into the panel.
Yep. Like in all honesty, this might. You know what? Next year, stick this in main events and do it early on Friday.
Yeah. Or just do a bunch of these throughout the weekend if you can find a staff member to consistently run it. Like do it once every night.
Again, my recommendation would honestly be do this in main events right after. So this is your first Furrycon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, to get space for it. And then just have prompts maybe like around the room that people can do, and just have them rotate between prompts kind of naturally and tell them to talk to different groups of people.
Yep.
Yep, MFC has always been a social con, or at least it was last year and was this year too.
And MCFC.
Whatever.
MFC is a different Furcon.
There's so many Fs. There's just too many Fs. Why do you have to make everything an acronym? This is not the first Furry episode where I've ranted about this.
Yeah, furries really like the acronyms for their cons for whatever reason. We've never figured out why.
Like, Midwestern Furry Weekend, Pennsylvania, or whatever the heck it's called WPAFWA. That's a horrible acronym.
You mean the Western Pennsylvania Furry Weekend?
Yeah, whatever it is. There's too many Fs.
So, yeah. But again, given that there is an MFC and an MCFC, like, come on, guys. Oh, dear.
OMG.
So yeah, so that was the point at which we headed home on Saturday night.
Yep. So shorter Saturday than we normally do, and I say shorter. We were there for like 9 hours. It's not like it was no time.
Yeah.
And you got a burger.
I got a burger. Yeah, this time I did the I forgot what this one's called. Something nacho. So yeah, this is like 4 different kinds of cheese and nachos on the burger.
It was actually my burger. Because it was nacho burger. He apparently has never heard the nacho cheese joke up until last night when I made that joke for the first time because British children are weird.
We don't go in for nachos as much as Americans do.
Uh-huh.
But yeah. I'm gonna miss Tasties.
Uh-huh.
Anyway. Like, again, I really like these burgers, but it's not worth an 8-hour round trip to go get one. But yeah. So then, back to the Airbnb, slightly earlier night. Got up this morning, but pretty much normal time for us.
Judging the car.
Yes.
Yeah. And we knew that there wasn't going to be a lot on for us this morning / Sunday morning because it's hotel checkout time. That's kind of understandable.
Yeah.
Normally, if Boozy was here, he'd be doing his lawyery panel.
Yeah.
I mostly just say this because he always schedules it for Sunday morning so he can pretend to have like an 8 a.m. fucking class that is actually...
Language, honey.
Whatever. This is a +18 con to begin with.
I know.
I didn't curse in the first 5 minutes of the video. That's all the algorithm gets anyway. So we can have a 8 a.m. freaking class that actually pays attention to him. And I'm tempted to go to that panel one time and just be on my phone the entire time so we can actually teach a class at 8 a.m.
How's your problem class this semester?
They suck. I should not have said that on the air. It's fine.
You didn't tell them which one's the problem class.
No, I didn't. But the problem class knows that they're the problem class. Whereas I don't think any of my students actually know that I have this podcast. I have not mentioned it to any of them.
There's no reason why they would know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, anywho. But yeah, so there wasn't too much on Sunday morning that we wanted to go to. So instead, we packed up a car.
Also, if the class after that class is listening to this, you guys are cool. You guys, we just talk like stuff with each other. I like you guys. It's the class before you that I have problems with. Anyway. They'll understand that. Okay, if any of my students are listening to me, it's that last class. One of them has definitely done a deep dive on this.
Okay.
Anyway.
Right.
So we decided...
Now that you're done digging that particular hole.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we loaded up the car. Drove off from the Airbnb.
I was wearing my cow costume because I actually haven't worn that in a while.
Yep.
Need to have more spots to it.
Yep.
A couple people think I'm Corella when I wear that just because how many spots I put on it, just because I like to put a lot of spots on it. I want to emphasize, I'm not going to wear a Corella costume to a furry con. Come on.
No. But again, you've got the cow horn headpiece.
Yeah, I do. So. Moo moo, motherfucker.
Stop swearing! This is a PG-13. This is meant to be a family-friendly podcast.
No, it's not.
I don't have the editing time or skill to bleep it. Just because you're con drunk, and I would like to once again remind you, con drunk is not actual drunk. You have not consumed any alcohol. Con drunk is caused purely by your own body's internal chemicals and endorphins.
Okay.
And tiredness. So yeah. So we popped around one this morning.
Yeah. Which is an arcade that we like that has changed various places. They also had a Rainforest Cafe up there that was cool. So yeah, we did that. We walked around the mall. I was in a cow costume. It was cool.
Yep. A dog barked at you because it was confused by the size of your skirt.
Yeah. There's a children, it was 10 a.m., which meant that the only people in the mall were people who were walking around the mall and people who were going to children's birthday parties. Those are the two subsections of people who were at the mall at 10 a.m.
Yep.
So we had nice, older people who were walking, complimenting my dress, and a couple kids who wanted to play with me as opposed to going to the party they were supposed to go to.
Yeah.
It was great.
That was sweet. I do love seeing you run into kids in the wild.
Yep.
But yeah.
So we got to the con midday-ish, around 11-ish, and then we found out that every door was again closed.
Yeah, the doors were even more closed than they had been.
Yeah, it was even ultra confusing.
Yeah, so we ended up having to walk around the entire or half the exterior of the building, like from one side right to the opposite goddamn side.
And keep in mind, I want to emphasize, I'm in costume and it's February.
Yeah.
There is salt and muck everywhere right now.
Yep.
It sucks. And it's going to suck for fursuiters too.
So, yeah, like, the fact that there wasn't a single goddamn open door that I could get into on that side of the building, like, I did eventually figure out a route in and out that was slightly less crap, but it wasn't good. You know, like, so we had to walk you around the entire outside of the building in order to get in that time. That was bad. Like, right down to the fact that, like, there were doors on that side. They just had emergency doors only, do not enter through here. And I'm like, what is even the point? Like, how is it possible for this building to suck this hard when it comes to just getting inside it?
Yep. Yeah, I think it was mostly this that this is clearly convention or space that wants to pay staff to like watch doors, which is stupid. I don't understand why staff needs to watch doors to buildings, but like they apparently want them, and they did. I think most of them had Sunday off, so that it's closed most of the doors, but told no one, so it was just confusing.
Yep. So yeah, that was annoying.
And then you forgot the con badges. That one's kind of on you.
Yeah, that one's on me because again, I leave the con badges in the car so that I don't accidentally forget them at the Airbnb, because I've done that once or twice. And yeah, we started heading inside, we got through that shenanigans. Then I realized I'd left the con badges behind. I was like, God damn it. And we didn't want to take you all the way back to the car.
Does that count as a curse?
No.
Okay.
That's a low grade one.
Fine.
Mostly I want you to stop dropping the F-bomb.
Okay.
No. No.
What?
Okay. So, what we eventually decided we'd do was we would get into the con, we'd go up, we'd grab a table in the zoo, which, as I say, was just like communal meetup space. You could loiter there for a bit without any problem.
Yeah, I took some pictures. A lot of the furries, I think, because there was an old technology panel, had older cameras today, so I actually took more photos, I think, today than I did the other 2 days.
Yep, which is cool.
Fun.
While I basically just sprinted back to the car. And it did give me the opportunity to, like... I'm not convinced your engine's supposed to sound like that, buddy, but anyway. It was an opportunity... it did let me scope out a route back to the car that was going to be a little bit easier than the mess we had to go through to get in. Which was kind of useful later on in the day. So it was sort of useful that I did that, but again, we figured it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got back in 10, 15 minutes. And then at that point we once again bumped into some people. Had a bit of a chat, and the first thing we were really going to, in fact, pretty much the only thing we really went to today, was the charity auction.
Yeah. So yeah, we met up with Joe Wolf and Yabe for a bit.
Yep.
Yabe was telling us about a medical emergency that I'm not going to say anything more about. Yep. It's mostly just them ranting about it.
Yep. Apparently, Michigan hospitals suck.
And
Detroit hospitals suck.
And Joe Wolf was trying to teach everyone how to use a rotary phone for the,
Yeah, again, one of the panels that was on today was a old technology meetup.
Yep. So yeah, we did that. We went up to, I think, Tabletop and played Ransom Notes, which is a game our friends got us for the holidays for a bit.
Yep.
And then we went back down for the charity auction.
Yep. And again, the room was closed because they were setting up the charity auction. Which again, they do have to set up a table and a bunch of stuff. And yeah, fair enough.
They at least started on time.
They did.
Well, within 10 minutes of start time, which counts.
They opened the doors, at about the right time. And again, we went in with the accessibility thing, which they did handle okay. Again, they had somebody with a sign go through the line and basically be like, hey, if you've got an accessibility thing and you need to get in quick, come this way.
Yeah, they did have chairs off to the side, which they did not mind me sitting in, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
It's sometimes unclear what side of the room the accessibility line is going to be on, and some people who are having problems with disability can't wait in line, so it's nice to have just a clear line you can kind of sit next to or come up to.
Yeah.
But they still were doing leaps and I want to emphasize that even though we have minor critiques of how they were handling accessibility at this con, furry cons are leaps and bounds above other cons in the industry right now, by far.
By a
they
lot.
are by far the most accessible.
Yeah. Steampunk cons also do a pretty good job.
Steampunk cons do a great job because they have people like Asgard and Lady Rilsworth, again, stage names, who are helping a lot of the time.
Yep.
Steampunk cons are also normally small enough that they don't need as much stuff that I particularly need either.
That is fair.
But they also do a great job.
Yeah.
It's just they don't really have lines.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, so they did let people in. We went, we snagged a seat in accessibility seating, and charity auction went off.
Yeah.
I will say there was a thing. We were planning to donate some stuff to the charity auction this weekend. So I did ask about the process of that. We weren't able to because I cocked up. So sorry about that. The things we're planning to donate, they're going to go to a furry charity auction at some point.
They will.
It'll probably end up being Antro, Ohio at this point.
Probably.
We'll see.
We might be going to, what's the one in Baltimore? Telltale Fur or something, probably. It's probably Poe-related. Everything in Baltimore is Poe-related, you freaks. We might be going to that one. I haven't decided yet. So
you say that like everything in our town isn't aggressively John Glenn coded.
New Concord is not the size of Baltimore. Baltimore should be known for more than one thing.
It's fair. But yeah. So this was a charity auction. It worked the way charity auctions usually do. They held up the item, people bid on it.
This was mostly done by Pandez.
Yep.
We always go because they normally have interesting stuff.
Yep.
They had an entire, I think, GameCube with, old school TV.
Yeah, they had a 27-inch CRT TV with a GameCube, 2 controllers, and a copy of one of the Smash Bros. Games. Yep. I don't remember which one. And all the requisite, power and cables. I went for a decent chunk of change.
Yeah.
If you're a retro gaming fan, that's fun. They also did clarify that everything in there worked.
Yep.
The GameCube apparently has had its laser switched 2 years ago. So yeah. So they had a lot of weird and interesting stuff, as they usually do. As per usual, their comment is please bid in increments of 10 just to keep things simple, unless of course you're bidding one of the funny numbers.
Yep.
Many things either went for $69 or there was a bid of $69 at some point.
Yeah. Also, I think we're officially at the point where 6-7 has succeeded the Gen Alpha generation and has now just become a thing that older people are doing.
Here's the thing: it's become a thing that the older generations are just
mocking
and annoyed by.
Yep. Which
is usually what happens with the memes.
Yep. The memes are now meta upon meta upon meta.
Yep.
Kids are definitely no longer saying this. It's just a thing that adults have now.
Probably. Ugh.
But this was cute. It's always fun to watch the charity auctions. It's fun to see what bidding happens. It's fun to see what weird stuff happens.
Yep.
And it raised a decent chunk of money for charity.
I think it raised a pretty good chunk. And again, the charity donates some stuff. They had some prints of pictures of some of their wolves. Various other bits and bobs. They had sticker boards for one for one of their foxes and one for one of their wolves that they basically just put up at their table, and furries could add stickers to throughout the weekend. Those sold for pretty good money. Just lots of fun stuff, including some photoshopped artwork of Pandez.
Yep.
And an alkali body pillow.
Yep.
Which I love the fact the alkali body pillow. Let's start the bidding at $10. $250. Beg pardon?
That person, by their own admission, just has a collection of alkali paraphernalia in their house.
Which they mostly have just to mess with alkali.
Yeah.
Which is valid.
Yeah, it is. I've seen them bring alkali paraphernalia they've purchased to cons again just to torture alkali. So I'm sure that body pillow is going to a great place.
Yeah, I wonder if they're the person who bought the standee last year.
They did.
Yeah.
They said that. To be clear, we don't know this person. That's just what they said.
Yeah. They also said they have a... So this body pillow was safe for work.
Yep.
Apparently, there is a not safe for work body pillow of Alkali's persona that they also bought. Again, just to mess with him.
Yep.
Which, valid. Somebody needs to keep messing with Alkali.
Yep.
I say somebody like it isn't half the furry community, but Again, that is one of the things that we do like about Alkali. He's very much one of those people who's comfortable making themselves the butt of the joke. Yep. If it, A, gets a laugh, and B, doubly so if it raises money for the charity. Which is nice to see. So, yeah. So, that was the charity auction. They raised a decent amount of money. I don't know exactly how much. I could have kept track if I wanted to, but... So we don't know what the final charity total for the weekend was. I suspect it will have been a pretty decent chunk of change. Last year, was it 32 grand?
Yeah. Something along those lines.
Yeah, they were hoping to top that this year.
Yeah. I'm sure if we had stayed for closing, we would have heard the number because I always announce it. It was Valentine's Day weekend and we wanted to go get food.
Yeah, we wanted to go to a restaurant chain we really like.
So we did the Midwestern goodbye for a few people.
Yep, which took a while.
Yeah, fun fact, I read a study, I didn't read a study, I read like a headline of somebody saying that it was a study that you see as you randomly scroll through media and therefore it's probably not accurate. So with that stipulation, I read a study headline that says that the Midwestern goodbye costs you an average of 2 days a year. Meaning that you talk to people so much when you're saying goodbye over the course of all the events that you go to that it totals up to around 48 hours total.
I can believe that.
Yeah. It's probably not remotely accurate, but
again, that will be skewed heavily depending on how many events you go to and how often you see.
Yeah, but think about how many events we go to.
Yeah.
And how many times we do this.
Yeah.
That said, I will say, saying goodbye and seeing a bunch of people this weekend was delightful.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad we were able to exchange contact details with various people.
So yeah, then we went to Seasons and played car parking lot.
Yeah. We got super lucky with the car park at the restaurant because, somebody had just left. We pulled into their spot.
And we were seated next to the window so we could watch everyone battle for parking spots. So it was like dinner time entertainment. It was great.
It was great. So, yeah.
Including them trying to set up valet parking and completely failing.
Yeah. Well, watching the guy setting out the cones for the valet parking, and a guy just quickly drive past him so he could pull into one of the spots before it got coned off was great.
Valet parking is a scam, by the way.
Valet parking is BS.
And we don't know why this restaurant has it, because no one ever freaking uses it.
So, yeah. So, that was MCFC 2026.
Yay! Now for the stuff we didn't do segment.
Now stuff we didn't do.
There was, I think, did this one? No, it was the con last weekend that had the erotic drawing competition.
Yeah, that was last week. Last week had the hentai coloring panels. Oh, hentai coloring stuff.
There were gaming tournaments throughout the weekend. Yep. They did have something called Iron Claw, which I think is a tabletop game tournament. I was a bit confused on the rules. It's online, though, so you could check that up if you were talking about it. Tabletop Spaces, they had the dance competition, which we didn't see the full version of.
Yep.
They had Warrior Cats trivia, a bunch of spot writing basics, stuff, furry karaoke, whatever Dragon Palooza is. I'm sure there's a description. Cats. Several different fursuit meetups, obviously.
The big furry photo.
Yeah, obviously stuff in the sponsor lounge.
Yep.
Saturday night dance, and also the Dead Dog dance, which is taking place tonight for those who stay overnight.
Yeah, the Dead Dog dance, I think, is still going on.
Yeah. I will say last year they had to stay because there was a tornado warning during it. We drove back and recorded last year's episode during that, so we weren't caught in that. Yeah, this bingo took place at the actual Friday night dance, so they only had 2 dances, I think.
I think there was just 2.
Which is still a lot of dances.
Actually, relatively few for a fur con.
It is true. Beyond Cats and Dogs, and a bunch of other stuff. Sticker swap. Joel and Paint.
Yep. Ribbon game, I believe.
Yep. Retro Tech meetup, which you talked about.
Yep.
Show me your camera, which is also, I think, why I got so many pictures taken on Sunday.
Yep, that was probably why.
Yep. And Sanrio Friends meetup. So yeah, a bunch of fun stuff, and this is not everything. Just what I feel like mentioning at the various moments.
Yeah. So various bits and bobs, all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
So yeah. So favorite con moments?
Okay. I think it's my turn to go first.
Yep.
I mean, I will obviously take the question this panel.
Dang it. That was going to be my first one.
Well,
if
you
you
kept
didn't
taking
take
moments of me taking photos with children for the past 3 weeks, so I feel like I get to snipe one of yours.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Do you want to talk about it in any more detail?
I love this panel. It's one of my favorite types of improv to do. The crowd, I will say, was fantastic for this. Sigma did a great job running it. And it was really nice to make connections, I think, with Yabe and Joe Wolf a bit more this weekend, too.
I would say so. I'm actually going to pick another of Sigma's panels, which is the peer support panel.
Yep.
Like, don't get me wrong, I was crying during parts of it.
Yep.
That's just me. Don't worry about it. But like, it was. I'm happy to know that support like this exists. Like, this is run by somebody who cares, and that really comes across. And it's nice to see a community that supports each other, like good times and bad.
Yeah, I'll pick a similar moment of just how many people were just giving me stuff this weekend. There was so much, like, not really trinket trading, more just like trinket giving that was happening. People running out of a panel because they saw it at Neopets plush backpack generally, and the amount of Neopets conversations I had generally with people for carrying the Neopets plush backpack was a lot of fun this weekend.
Yeah. I had a blast at New Line.
Yeah.
Like, it's always great.
This one's interesting because, like, my last one I can't actually talk about. You know what it is.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what it is.
Yeah, that meant a lot to me, and I don't think anyone but a couple people are going to know what I was talking about here, and you might not even, but I can't give any other context than that really meant a lot to me.
Put it this way, there are 3 people who know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. Yep, we were deeply touched.
Thank you.
Thank you. And my last one, what do I want to go with? Decisions. I did enjoy con horror stories. Like, con horror stories is always a hoot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now on to an actually very complex question.
Yeah. So, for anybody who's not heard this podcast before, our final rating for cons is based on a single question. The question is, would we go back?
Yeah.
And as we always like to point out and clarify, there are a lot of factors that go into determining the answer to that question. One of them is how far away from us personally is it?
Yeah.
Like, if the con is in Columbus, even if it's not that great, we'll probably go back. If the con is a 7-hour drive away and we are saying, heck yes, we'd go back, it was definitely a good con. If the con was in Columbus and we're saying we ain't doing that one again, probably wasn't a good con.
And it's also worth, when you're listening to this podcast, keeping in mind, like, what type of con goers we are. Like, if you go to fur cons and you do the dances and the room parties, we're different types of con goers.
Yeah, we're very much panel people.
Yeah. So, us having problems with cons, or, like, not going back might not necessarily be why you wouldn't go back or not. That said, this is hard.
We are not the only people who've said what we're about to say this weekend, and the honest answer is, would we go back? Not if you're in this venue again.
Yeah, I think that's the reality of it.
Yeah. Like, I still like this con.
I adore this con. Like, I can tell how hard they're working. I love the staff to bits. I love the con goers and how awesome they are. I don't know if this venue is ultimately going to be accessible for us.
No.
That's.
I think the venue just put up too many barriers that made it harder than it is worth, given the distance involved. Like, this one's a 4-hour drive for us.
It's 4-hour drives, and with the venue being what it is, it's pretty expensive. And it's pretty expensive too. It's just hard because Eagle Crest was an accessible venue for us, and I do understand that you probably were, if not this year, probably pretty soon going to have to change venues. I get it, you're growing. But it's hard knowing that I could be paying less for a venue that's more accessible to me.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
Also, Eagle Crest had amazing Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi at this convention, this place sucked.
Yeah. Well, on the bright side, you didn't have to, like, be on a work call during opening ceremonies this year.
Yeah. That was funny last year,
It
though.
was.
I love the fact that work call was a presentation on a piece of software we ended up not buying.
Yep.
Because, like, I watched the presentation and I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is going to do exactly what we need it to do. And then the head of procurement was like, I don't think this does what we need. And I'm like, did you ask the people who were going to be using it? Oy. Anyway.
So, yeah. And this is something that I want to emphasize is very much like all of our ranking systems related to us. If you are somebody who absolutely loved this venue or who just wants to party in a weird down high-rise hotel that is quite pretty for the entire weekend, I think this would be a great pick.
Yeah.
It's not a great pick for disabled people who want to do paneling and can't stay on site.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'm going to tell you this honestly, we heard similar sentiments, stated by several other attendees this weekend. The venue, I think, is going to be a deal breaker for some. Now, with that said, I know you got a lot of new people this year.
Yeah.
And I think part of that probably was because you are now downtown. Like, in the same way that the Columbus Convention Center, a lot of people who live in Columbus will just go to that convention center. You probably did get, a bunch of people who are local to downtown Michigan.
Yeah, it might just mean that you're shifting demographics, and that's absolutely okay. I hope you grow into whatever demographic space you want.
Yeah.
And I would love for you to find a perfect space for which people like us could attend, and also people who are the, Detroit downtown locals could attend. I don't know if there's a mythical space like that exists. I just don't.
Neither do I.
I do get that you have to make compromises.
Yeah. But again, we have also been hearing that apparently that venue is going to be undergoing some pretty major renovation. Specifically, there are, I think it's 4 towers plus the big central one, and apparently they're planning to knock down 2 of the towers or something like that. So who knows? That might cause major changes, and God knows, but.
We did hear, and I don't know how substantiated this is, we did hear that the choice to move this particular venue was a fairly close vote by the board. We don't know if it actually was, and we don't really think that you should be blamed for trying this, because I can understand why you tried it.
Yeah, and again, I suspect this is more physical space. It's just not physical space that I think is laid out in a way that's actually conducive to what you need it to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and for an 18-plus con, I don't know if this is possible, but I really do prefer it for 18-plus cons if you can just have full run of the venue. Because then you can just make it full-on plus 18. You don't have to worry about filtering yourself.
Yep, you don't
it's a little bit
have
easier.
to worry about a kid's volleyball group or a teens volleyball group. So yeah, that's the honest truth. We want to come back to this event next year. But if it's in the same hotel, I don't think we can. So that's the long and the short of it.
And to be clear, we don't think that events should be catered to us specifically. Not all events are for us. That's okay.
That's okay. Again, because I don't know what their numbers look like. I know what the head of registration, I know the numbers they mentioned at one point, but I'm also, they gave a pretty broad range because they knew it was somewhere in the ballpark. So I do not know what their numbers actually wound up looking like this year.
Yeah. I know we were in the 1400s, and I think I got tickets a week or 2 out.
Because again, all the badges are numbered, so we were 14. Yeah, we were in the low mid 1400s.
Yeah, which really doesn't tell you much because cons vary wildly in terms of when people buy tickets.
Yeah, there are plenty of cons that sell 2/3 of their tickets on the day.
Yeah.
I definitely think the highest number we heard during the charity auction was probably 18 something. Because again, at the charity auction, you do give your badge number so that they know who bought what, which is fine. It's actually a very efficient system. They've got their charity auctions down to a fine art at most fur cons at this point.
Yeah.
So that was the highest number we heard. But again, entirely possible there are a lot of other people who like just came for the Saturday or something like that. So I don't know what their numbers were.
But yeah, if you can hear the pain in our voices about like this, this is hard for us.
Yeah, we hate saying that we might not be coming back next year.
Yeah.
Like we love this con. We really love the people at this con, and we really love the panels at this con. And like, yes, there was less paneling than usual this year, just because several of the people who normally run a bunch of panels at this con weren't able to be here, just because, you know.
Yeah, and I do assume, regardless of what happens, you'll probably have dates that are more compatible next year. Like that,
Yes.
I think is a problem you're probably going to be able to solve.
Yes. Like, I don't think February is necessarily a bad time. It's just the weekend right after First Squared, I think, caused you some problems.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were people who had to choose between doing one or the other. That always sucks. So, yeah. Do we have anything to add?
Well, this is a pretty long episode to begin with.
Yep.
In case you can't tell, our episodes are pretty much always timed to the length of the ride we have home. We're still not terribly close, but we're not going to talk for another hour and torture people.
Yeah, we're not going to talk for another hour and 20 minutes.
Maybe I can read her that Con Iceberg episode we did. I always hopped up on drugs while we did that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, we really do love this con. I still had a great time this weekend. There were some fantastic moments.
There really were. Like, again, I really like this con. Again, the only two major problems we had this weekend were the venue and Furry Bingo, and Bingo After Dark. And neither of which I think are insurmountable. It's just about finding what is going to be best for the con going forward.
And you can also just be honest about Bingo. Like, just straight up say it's going to be probably an hour wait, or we don't really know when it's starting. Like, if you're just upfront about that, I wouldn't even be angry.
Yeah, we just wouldn't have gone.
Yeah.
Like, for people who are willing to wait that long, fine.
Yeah.
Like, but, because again, our plan had been do a few rounds. If we win something great, we probably won't, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Pivot over to Sigma's panel, but because it started so late, we ended up missing Sigma's panel. By the sound of it, we missed a really goddamn good panel.
Yeah. Well, I know that's going to be online later, so we'll check it out there.
Yeah.
Or Sigma will probably just send it to us if we ask them.
Yeah, they probably would. So, yeah. So, that was MCFC 2026.
Yeah, we did have a great time. The venue is...
bad.
I was going to say weird.
Bad.
I was going to say weird. I don't necessarily think it's bad in the context of it's bad for everyone. I can see some people really enjoying it.
Here's the thing. I suspect it's a perfectly nice, functional hotel. I'm just not actually that convinced it's a good convention space. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, again, to me, the fact that you weren't able to do a fursuit parade just because there wasn't anywhere in the venue you could do it, to me, kind of indicates that it's not great for a fur con.
And I don't mind you guys having 2 floors, but if you can't, like, travel, given that the majority of your con goers can't actually travel between those 2 floors except by elevator, because if you're in a fursuit or a ball gown, you're not going to be able to take those escalators.
Yep.
It's just bad.
So, yeah, like, again, I really do want to emphasize this, and I know we're kind of berating the point. We love this con. We did still have a good time this weekend. There were just quite a few moments when we felt like we would have been having more fun if you'd kept the old venue.
Yeah.
And I get that you probably were going to have to change sometime in the next few years, but I'm not convinced this hotel is the right place for you.
Mm-hmm.
Fair?
Fair. That said, if you're listening to this episode and have listened to all of this, thank you. We do know that a lot of people from the furry community actually do listen to this entire podcast and try to take our advice, which, thank you. We're not experts.
Thank you for listening to 2 morons on the internet.
Yeah.
No, sorry, 1 moron and 1, incredibly intelligent person who, yeah.
They don't even know which one of you you're referring to.
Oh, no, it's her. She's the smart one. I'm an idiot.
No, you're not. We need a better outro.
No, the outro is not important.
Well, that's because everyone clicks off before this because ours is so bad.
Exactly.
If we actually had enough people to do metrics, we would like see that there was a drop off.
Yep.
I don't even think Lynn's listens this far.
Who knows? Hi, Linz. If you're still listening to this, tell her.
Yeah,
that.
tell us if you listen this far. Also, we appreciate your comments about the ribbon game. We'll check that out sometime.
Yeah. So, thank you very much for listening. Where the hell are we going next week?
We're doing a very weird local con that I forgot the name of in Morgantown, Virginia, that is by this weird, like, I think for-profit company that did one in Cleveland that we were supposed to go to last year, but we didn't actually because we decided we wanted to go to Wegmans instead.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, this is the one where I had to get the scheduled email. This is the only reason I know for sure it's the same company, because I had to get the scheduled email to me, because they don't just put it on their website. I have to put in my email and then have them email the schedule to me.
That's just weird.
It's weird, and I don't expect this to be good, but I think we both need a break.
Yeah, we need a low-key weekend.
Yeah, I think so.
Because for one thing, I've still got, like, shelves I need to build at some point.
Yeah, and I think Bridget was kind of sort of trying to get any of us to go to Anime Crossroads, which I think I would be game for. It's just Anime Crossroads is... it's not fair for us to review that one. Let's just say it's one that was like in our con rating system.
There's a reason we haven't been back to it.
Yeah. In part because we got COVID, although that was not on the con.
That didn't help, but that wasn't the reason we're not going back.
Yeah.
Speaking of cons that are outgrowing their venues, that one outgrew its venue 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's like soup there. I hate it.
Yeah. So, yeah. Next week, we're doing a weird, slightly smaller one. And
the episode will probably be like an hour long at most.
Yeah, because we probably won't have that much to say, because I think that's just a one-dayer.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it might be a 1 hour.
We'll see. So yeah, if you've listened to this, what is wrong with you? But thank you very much, and hopefully we will see you in the next one.
I already missed the furries.
So do I. Bye.
Bye.